This No Dunks episode is sponsored by Blue Chew. Guys, it's been a hell of a year. Personally, I feel like I've aged 13 years over the last 12 months or so. Grew a weird beard. Sort of got into gardening. Strange times. And if you're feeling your age more than you used to, especially in the bedroom, well, it's time to snap out of it. Come on, spring is here. Time to get sprung with Blue Chew. Blue Chew is a unique online service that delivers the same active ingredients as Viagra and Cialis, but in a chewable form and at a fraction of the cost. Yeah, Blue Chew's tablets help men like you achieve harder, stronger erections to combat all forms of ED. Blue Chew is an online prescription service. No visits to the doctor's office, no awkward conversations, and no waiting in line at the pharmacy. It ships right to your door in a discreet package. The process is simple. Just sign up at bluechew.com. You consult with one of their licensed medical providers, and once you're approved, you'll receive your prescription within days. The best part? It's all done online. So if you could benefit from extra confidence when it comes to performing in the bedroom, visit bluechew.com for more details and important safety information. And we got a special deal for our listeners out there. Try Blue Chew free. Yeah, free. When you use our promo code NODUNKS at checkout. Just pay $5 shipping. That's it. That's bluechew.com, promo code NODUNKS to receive your first month free. And yeah, we thank Blue Chew for sponsoring the No Dunks podcast.
Wait a minute. You're supposed to poop in a toilet facing out? But I thought you sit on the toilet this way. So you have that nice little shelf for your comic book and your chocolate milk? Well, 'cause then you got the flusher right here. No? Oh, geez, that's embarrassing.
Good morning, sweet world, and welcome to the No Dunks podcast on the Athletic Network. It's Friday, June 4th. This is the Drop Podcast. I'm J.E. Skeets, and along a guy who has so much blood, he does know what to do with it. What's up, T?
What's up, everybody?
Got my top shot hot boy and fellow freak, Trey Kirby.
Hey,
Yo, the international man of mystery, taking it to the max, Lee Ellis.
friend.
And last, certainly not least, making the magic happen, it's JD.
Hello.
There he is. Here we are. Shout out to the stream team joining us live on YouTube. Smash that like button, leave your comments, and subscribe. I don't know. Last I checked, we were less than 600 subscribers away from 40K. Can we do it this weekend? I've been saying it for the last month. Let's cross our fingers and get 600 more people to subscribe. Send in your questions and comments for the next Beach Steppin' podcast. You can always email them in, nodunks@theathletic.com, or you can tweet them in at nodunks INC. Finally, go grab your sweet No Dunks merch over at nodunks.com. T-shirts and hoodies and shorts and coffee mugs. We've got it all. Okay, action-packed Drop podcast here on a Friday. Bunch of series to look ahead to here in the second round. Got 3 of them, in fact. Bit of a surprise with 2 of them ending last night. Let's do a quick recap of those Western Conference games last night, and then we'll get into the Suns Nuggets, and then we'll move to the Eastern Conference series and preview and predict those. But yeah, Devin Booker erupting for 47 points as the Suns eliminate the Lakers in Game 6. A bit of a shocker, Tass. It was sort of, over in a hurry. I mean, Phoenix came out and punched the Lakers in the mouth, and the Anthony Davis injury came into play very early, and it was over.
The Phoenix Suns, all grown up. They came into Los Angeles and showed they weren't afraid. Their defense was looking great, and then Anthony Davis goes out 5 minutes in with that groin injury, and that incredible Suns defense just did not let up, and LeBron was not enough to overcome everything that the Suns are right now, including, Jay Crowder, who has hit his Miami Heat type streak from last year, hitting 6 threes, and Devin Booker feeling oh so freaking confident. Now, it took him a few games in this series, but dropping 47, doing the Trae Young shoulder shrug at the end of the game. I'm pretty sure he was watching Trae Young end a series in Madison Square Garden the night before. Then he goes into LA and does it. And they didn't need Chris Paul to be at full strength. Mm-hmm. Can you freaking believe that? I think they do need Chris Paul. We'll talk about that later on when we preview Suns and Nuggets. But all that to say, man, this freaking team absolutely knows their roles. Devin Booker had to be a superstar in this series, and he ended up being the best player in this series, with freaking LeBron James and Anthony Davis, who obviously was not himself, and everyone questioning should he have been out there. But it's all about the Suns for me. We talk enough, I think, about LeBron and his legacy. And then you saw LeBron hand over his jersey after the game, post-game locker room, signs his jersey for Devin Booker, who, is just feeling so freaking good in his first playoff run. Man, he doesn't seem like it's his first playoff run the way he's feeling it. 47. I know we just say numbers all the time, but 47. That's incredible.
Yeah, 22 in the first quarter alone. Hit 8 3-pointers. He was cooking the Lakers in the mid-range game. They just came out and just attacked Trey, like right from the jump. I like how they attacked Anthony Davis. Yeah. Like, he's going to play? All right, well, let's see if he can actually move laterally. And the answer was he couldn't. He had zero explosiveness, and that's why he was off after 5 or 6 minutes after he sort of re-aggravated the groin or whatever it was. But that was smart by Monty Williams and Booker and CP3. Like, let's go at him. And Jay Crowder's going to be open here because AD probably can't get out there to get him.
Yeah. What did you call it yesterday, Lee? A clinical elimination? Something along those lines. That's exactly what it was for the Suns. They saw Anthony Davis come out and say, let's see how that leg's working, buddy. It was not working, and the Suns took care of business. I don't know what the final score ended up being in the first quarter, but when I first looked at the box score, it was 22-18, Devin Booker. And that's kind of, you just knew what the writing was on the wall for the Lakers last night. Shout out to the Suns, not letting them off the hook at all. If you come into a game and you see Anthony Davis, who was dominant in games 2 and 3, you see he's not going to be able to play in game 5. You see he's going to be limited in game 6. Could have been easy for a young team that doesn't have a lot of playoff experience to say, we got this. This is going to be easy. That was not the case at all. For Phoenix, they came out, smacked the Lakers right in the face. It was over after a quarter. Ended up being 22-14 for the Lakers, or for Devin Booker, whatever it was in the first quarter. But incredible stuff. The Lakers just weren't close. They didn't get contributions from any of their role players. They just seemed to know that they were drawing dead once Anthony Davis wasn't going to be at full strength, and LeBron wasn't enough to lift the Lakers over the Suns. Impressive win for Phoenix. Great series for them.
Yeah, for the first time, a team led by LeBron lately has been eliminated in the first round. It's Devin Booker, the Kingslayer here, which I'm excited about. I do love that. I love Booker, man. But yeah, what do you think about LeBron overall in this game? Like, it wasn't LeBron we've obviously seen in the past, that killer, look in his eyes, attack. What happened? Did he just sort of know he was outmanned? Did he just is he exhausted? Do we give him the excuse of the ankle? What did you think of his game, at least in this one?
Well, a little bit of all of that. I mean, but the Suns did come out from this start of this game and took control. So LeBron was playing catch up. And when Anthony Davis was out, as we've seen at other times in this series, that offense, if it's not coming from LeBron, it really, you're wondering who's going to generate it. And LeBron has to do so much for that team. He ended up playing 41 minutes last night. And, it wasn't close, but it got to 10 with about 8 minutes to go there. And it, just like it was in game 4 there on Sunday in Los Angeles, it was like, what happens now? Because this team is inexperienced, apart from, of course, Chris Paul out there. But the Suns didn't give it up. And I think crucially here as well for Monty Williams, Devin Booker played 46 minutes. He didn't at any point sort of look ahead to the next series and say, I want to get my guy out in case he gets injured or rest him. It's like, no. You've got to kill the Lakers now while you get the chance. And I think that's what's the most impressive thing for me about this. And the Phoenix Suns, they were down 2-1 in this series, and it looked like perhaps they were going to get overrun because of the injury to Chris Paul and because the Lakers had seemed to found their groove. But that didn't happen. Of course, the injury to Anthony Davis has an impact on that. But that's not to take anything away from Phoenix. They won this game last night. This wasn't like the Lakers had no power at all. I mean, they've still got LeBron James, and anytime LeBron's on the court, his team is usually the favorite. But that's what was for me. Jay Crowder started hitting threes again. He goes through these phases, he can hit threes and then he can go cold for a few games. But he didn't do that. And so that's what I think the Suns take out of this is this wasn't in any way a hollow victory because of the Anthony Davis injury. It wasn't in any way something that you can say, well, they got lucky at any time. They won this series. They were in a battle in this series. They trailed in this series. They lost home court and they fought back. And it really was their young star, their franchise star, who stood up the most here in Game 6. And again, I think he was 6 for 6 in that first quarter. Could not miss. that step back over Anthony Davis early was just gorgeous. And then once those three started falling, they built that lead and didn't really surrender it. I mean, you knew the Lakers were going to make a push, as I mentioned, but the Suns still had enough in their game to make sure they closed this out and didn't give LeBron even just a sniff, even just a chance to maybe extend it to overtime or to win this game. So super impressed on all counts here from the Phoenix Suns, and they go into the next series and should feel very, very confident with themselves.
Yeah, I just love how defensively they did play LeBron, because I think they just look at the rest of the Lakers roster, especially with a hobbled AD or when he wasn't even out there, and they go, well, who's going to beat us? There's not a bunch of shooters on this team. Like a LeBron team usually, at the least in the playoff series, if you go back and look at all his squads, he usually has one like knockout 3-point shooter, at least one, sometimes two, where it's like, well, we can't load up too much on LeBron because he's just going to pick us apart to this one particular guy who's, going to shoot 50 or 60% from three. Tass, we know this as Raptors fans. We saw the Raptors load up on LeBron in playoff series many times, and who was it? It was like J.R. Smith just torching them with wide open three after wide open three. Mike Miller comes to mind, of course. Like I said, JR, even bubble KCP last year was that guy that was sort of like their best sort of 3-point shooter. But in this series, Schroeder, 8 for 26 from 3. Wesley Matthews, your boy, 7 for 25. Kuzma, 4 for 23. An injured KCP, only 4 of 19. And Caruso, 5 of 17. So, it was just a great game plan, I think, from the Suns. And they had the defensive guys in Crowder and Bridges, and just everybody could lock in, zero in a little bit, wall off to some extent LeBron. Well, yeah, he's got the ankle sprain, is obviously old and has a lot of mileage on his legs, and that's the way to play it. Try and make these other guys beat him. They couldn't. Their best shooter was Marc Gasol, Tass, and we know he's not going to let 10 3-pointers go. Yeah, exactly. So, great game plan, and so to some extent, once AD's out of the equation here, they just don't have the roster, I think, that we've seen work time and time again with a LeBron team, which is have as many shooters as possible around, in my opinion.
Yeah, those guys didn't come through. In last year's roster, that was a championship winning roster. Was it all that different? No, but they just hit shots.
Yeah, exactly. Rondo was hitting shots. KCP was hitting shots. Yeah, you're for sure.
KCP was a big difference. They tried here in desperation. The center moved, going from Andre Drummond to Marc Gasol here to try and open up the floor. That was definitely the game plan. But if you look at them, if you look at a defense against LeBron, you usually see it shrink, expand, and go out to those 3-point shooters. It was just shrunk in this series. It was just they were just able to build a wall, and LeBron was not barreling through it for most of the series. We saw it happen, from game 2 to game 3. I felt like LeBron was coming on, but then it went back to LeBron not really driving the same way. And the Lakers were not able to open up that defense to make them expand. I know it's kind of pointless putting a blame on one guy because this is a team experience here, but Dennis Schroeder was signed to be the third best offensive player. That's what he was supposed to be. And he was supposed to take pressure off. Like last year, they went from, being a really great defensive unit. And again, they're somehow able to carry that on, but they decided, maybe we need a little bit of offense. So they go out and get Dennis Schroeder, who has wanted to be a number one offensive player in the NBA. He's had that issue in Atlanta. He looked really good in OKC's playoff run last year. And even though the numbers actually are fairly similar to last year when he was with Chris Paul and he didn't have the gravity of a LeBron James or Anthony Davis at times, he just didn't perform. He didn't. The 14 points per game was not enough. And I'm kind of, at 50-50 as to whether or not he comes back. This was not a good run. He said all the right things afterwards. He says, if we bring back our guys, we're going to go on a championship run next year. He took the description of his profile away. He took off PG of the Los Angeles Lakers away from his profile, if anything is to be made of that crap. But it is surprising. It is shocking. All the guys saying the right things. And Anthony Davis as well. He said after this game, I got to be on the floor. And obviously it's clear it's on me. I wasn't on the floor. I don't agree that the best ability is availability, but for Anthony Davis, sometimes it is. And Trey said it before the series. He's not on the floor at all times. I expected him to be on the floor, and obviously that was a part of it. So there's blame to go around with the Lakers. But obviously, emotionally, they were just kind of done after AD went down to get spanked like that.
Yeah, absolutely. And we can do a deep dive on what the Lakers should do in the offseason, who should come back, who they should target, what they can even do with their team currently constructed as it is. We got lots of time to do that, but let's keep it going because let's go to the other game from last night. It was a lot of fun. Jokic, with the MVP performance, he helps down the Blazers in 6 games. We thought it was going 7. The Joker said no, especially in the third quarter, Trey. And
yeah, y'all thought it was going 7.
Run. Yeah, you didn't.
I've seen Jokic be the best player in the league for the whole season. I was not too worried in this one, but things were looking good for Portland for a while. They were up 14 points in the third quarter. Jokic did not have a great first half, only scored 9 points on 7 shots through the first 24 minutes. And most importantly, at halftime, Jusuf Nurkic had 0 personal fouls.
Yeah.
Then over the course of 5 minutes in the third quarter, Nurkic picked up a quick 4-pack of fouls, 3 of them drawn by Jokic. The next one was a charge. Suddenly 20 points in the third quarter for Nikola Jokic. Monte Morris hit a buzzer beater to end the third quarter. It was a 3-point lead for Portland at that point heading into the fourth quarter. But Denver had all the momentum. Their bench kept chipping into the lead. By the time Jokic finally comes back in the fourth quarter, it's a 1-point game, but you could tell that Portland just did not have it at that point. Jokic immediately hits a 3 to put Denver up. They never trailed again. Good night, Blazers. Incredible game, though, for Jokic. 36 points, 8 rebounds, 6 assists. He had at least 34 in every game of this series, except for game 4 when Michael Malone called the entire team out for playing soft. But I think the second star for the Nuggets last night has to be Monte Morris. 22 points, 9 assists. In the fourth quarter, he had 9 points, 3 assists. He hit that huge buzzer beater at the end of the third quarter. Big for morale. A huge win for the Nuggets to pull this off, but a bummer ending to the season for Portland. Fully healthy, at home. They lost to a team missing 2 starters. Really felt like the last time we're going to see this Blazers team.
Yep, it does feel like that, Lee.
That was a bad loss.
And bad loss, and of course should have got some help for Lillard there in game 5, and you win that in this completely different series. Man, yeah, Morris and Jokic rolling their ass to death there in the fourth. It was the same play over and over again, and the Blazers, they just have no defense, as they've shown sort of time and time again. But yeah, it was shocking. Looked like the Blazers were like, yeah, we're going to game 7. Nuggets always play in game 7 series, and it looked like it was going to go back to Denver. And then you said it there, Trey, breaking it down there with those with the fouls, and then Jokic just taking over too, and Lillard having nothing left in the tank in the fourth quarter. But yeah, Lee, what do you think? Again, I don't want to go like super long on where the Blazers go from here. Do we once again bring up the McCollum trade? Is Terry Stotts out? I know that's going to happen here. You're going to hear it on other podcasts. But what did you think about the game specifically here?
Well, Devin Booker, of course, was the star last night. But let's not forget Michael Porter had 22 points in that first quarter as well.
Yeah.
He was hitting everything. I think he only finished with 26 for the game. But that's okay because then your star took over in the fourth quarter there, Nikola Jokic. But when it was that 14-point game in the third quarter, this had game 7 written all over it. It's like there's no way Lillard's going out like this. But even you saw him in that fourth quarter when the lead late got to sort of 6 points and then 8 points. Lillard was trying a few of those bombs that we know he's hit. He's hit them for so long in his career. But even the legs just seemed a little bit heavy and they weren't dropping. And that's when you sort of knew it was over for good. So incredible resilience here shown by the Nuggets for this series because they did lose game 1. And again, without Jamal Murray, I specifically thought that was going to catch up with them in the series because of their backcourt. But yeah, Monte Morris, in that fourth quarter was fantastic, driving inside when it was there or just feeding into Jokic. And we know Jokic can either finish or find a shooter on the perimeter there. So yeah, this has been a great run here from Denver. And for Portland, I think this team is going to look drastically different next season. Apart from Damian Lillard, I'd be surprised if you see too many of those same faces back. I think they have to do make some changes here because it's a good team. It's a good regular season team, but doesn't really go all that far in the playoffs. I know they made the conference finals a couple of years ago against the Warriors before they got swept. But at this point, I think there's some changes needed because they were outplayed and Denver were fantastic. And Jokic, he's just so incredibly fun to watch because he doesn't get rattled. He's got so much variety to his game. He complains a lot, like Doncic. Every time there's a foul, he's got that like that to the referee. But they're a fun team, and I'm happy for Michael Malone. I really am happy for the Nuggets to advance here, and they haven't got a lot of time to prepare for their next round. They're going to be in for a tough one immediately against the Suns.
Yeah, we'll start breaking that down in a second. But Tass, any takeaways from this game that jump out at you?
Well, just narrative-wise, I'm happy that Jokic, the MVP, is moving on to the second round, so everybody can shut up and about questioning him in general. He's just an incredible player, and he's not the player that used to fade away at times in the first quarter, second quarter, third quarter. Yeah, he had one subpar game, but every great player does. He was freaking phenomenal throughout the entire series. And then on the other side, I think it's time for the Blazers to go to a real defensive type center that's agile enough not to be pick and roll to death. I don't think it's the CJ McCollum move. I think it's time to move on from Yusuf Nurkic and to get a real a defensive guy that can cover everywhere. And not to put this on Nurkic, but when you've got Lillard and McCollum in the backcourt, that's going to be the game plan is to try and beat them up, trying to get by them, and they need better defense around them. They tried it this year with Robert Covington and Derrick Jones Jr., who obviously wasn't really a part of the rotation there. But then, Nurkic is the backbone. You can't just pick and roll a team if they have got a really agile big. So it's time, I think, for them to move on from there. And his quote after the game wasn't all that rosy about his future in Portland. He was asked if he wanted to be in the right situation. He said, yeah, in the right situation, yes. What's the right situation? We'll see. I don't know yet because this is not it. Maybe he wants the ball more. I don't know. But I don't know. Maybe he thinks he could be Nikola Jokic after being his teammate for a long time in Denver. But it's they got to move on. They just it's not his fault, but they've got it. If you've got an all offensive backcourt, you need an defensive front court for me.
I think the all offensive backcourt is personally the problem. I think they stayed attached to CJ McCollum for way too long. The Blazers are not a great team. Damian Lillard is incredible, and he's carried this team farther than a lot of players could. But I mean, CJ McCollum didn't outplay Michael Porter Jr., and we thought that was going to be the case coming into this series. We said maybe Michael Porter Jr. has got to score 25, 26 a game to be able to equal what CJ McCollum did. CJ, he was giving you his 20 points a game. That's about it. Not a lot of impact in this series.
Yeah. And then, it turned into like this duel, of course, between MVP Jokic and then this unbelievable Damian Lillard, like for most part throughout the series. But, you saw time and time again, it felt like, Lily, you do need help. You need guys to hit some like timely shots at the very least. And, Michael Porter Jr. catching on fire in the first quarter was huge, but like Austin Rivers, another like sort of like classic dagger Rivers three late in this game. Aaron Gordon had one in the corner. JaMychal Green was like grabbing huge offensive rebounds and making big plays. And it was just like, you just look at that, a little help for Jokic. It's all you need. You just need some timely help. And a lot of times I felt like in this series, be it McCollum, be it Norman Powell, they just came up when they had open looks to like, hey man, we need to stop the bleeding here, or we need a big shot or a score here. And Lillard really couldn't get that help more times than not, I thought personally. But it's going to be, I expect it to be, I don't know how it couldn't be a Raptors like sort of, huge switch up here when they had DeRozan and Lowry, and you just keep sort of coming up short in playoff series. Like you got to do something, be it the coach or probably moving one of them, but we'll see. Yeah.
Yeah, Dame had a cryptic sort of Instagram message there last night as well. But look, if you're the Blazers, I think you say, listen, we're not trading Lillard unless he comes and says, I've been here for now, 10 seasons, 11 seasons. I've given everything. I'd like to go somewhere else. And I think the Blazers should grant him that wish if that's what he does. But I don't think he's that type of guy. I think he'd rather just sort of stay there for now. And he doesn't want to be known as one of those guys who's asked to be traded. I think starts with probably Terry Stotts. I think he's probably not coming back.
But some people say Lillard's loyalty to the Blazers organization and to Stotts specifically has kept Terry Stotts there for these years. Because every year Lillard says, no, he's the guy. He's fine. Yeah. I love him as a coach. I mean, that could be an issue where ownership and the GM have to say, I know you love him, man. I know you're like super loyal here, but we got to try something else.
That's that's what you have to do if you're Neil O'Shea, and you have to say, okay, well, I can't sort of keep going down this path myself. If we're not winning, we have to make a change. So, and Lillard has power, I think, within that franchise like that, because he's been there for so long. He's so loyal and he's so beloved as well in Portland. So you're trying to not upset him, but you also have to have a hard conversation and say, we can't just keep making the first round and going out in the first round like that. I think Stotts probably starts there, and then I think CJ is what they see they can get for him, and obviously Nurkic as well. Because, the funny thing, talk about those threes last night. Yeah, Austin Rivers hit a massive one. Aaron Gordon hit a massive one. And who had the chance for the Blazers down the other end? Norm Powell, and he absolutely clunked it.
Again.
Yeah. So, that was the difference. Those margins that can really just alter a game and ultimately a series. But, it's been good to watch the Blazers. They have sort of punched above their weight for a while now, but they've reached the point where it's like you can sort of see what the ceiling is for this group, and they make some changes.
Well, let's get to the Suns-Nuggets series. I'm very excited for this series. This is a 2-3 matchup, a little chalk there with those seeds going through. Let's start breaking it down. We'll make our predictions. What we like to do with these is, give you the keys to the series. Just so everybody knows, they had one of the most tightly contested season series of the year between them. Their 3 games were decided by an average margin of 5 points. One game went to overtime. Another game went to double overtime, both on consecutive days, if you remember, there in Phoenix. Denver ultimately got the best of them in those extra frames, so they took the season series 2-1. Booker didn't play in one of the games, but Game 1, Nuggets Suns, Monday night on TNT, the late game. So, Lee, why don't you get started? What's your key to the series here between the Suns and the Nuggets?
Well, I'm going to start with the Nuggets backcourt because it did pretty well against the Blazers. We thought, or certainly you and I, Skeets, thought that was going to be a weakness. Lillard was huge. McCollum's numbers were good, but he just didn't have the impact. But now for the Nuggets starting backcourt of Austin Rivers and Facu Campazzo, it's going to be up against Chris Paul and Devin Booker. Now, Monte Morris, as we talked about, he was probably the Nuggets' 3rd best player in the series. And I wonder if Michael Malone considers starting him because I think he's the best scorer of those 3 out of Campazzo and Austin Rivers.
Yeah.
But either way, all 3 of them need to be really good. Can Austin Rivers win them a playoffs? Austin Rivers win them a playoffs?
Austin Rivers win them
a playoffs?
You will be.
Because listen, if he can do one quarter like that, that could be huge for the Nuggets, because I do also think fatigue could play a factor here, mainly for the Nuggets, because if you look at the 4 teams who made the conference finals in the bubbles, only the Nuggets remain. The Heat, Lakers, and Celtics won 3 games in the playoffs this season. And if you look at the knock-on effect of that, Pat Riley has said, everyone in Miami, we're taking a month off. We're just exhausted. Brad Stevens, no longer the coach in Boston. Danny Ainge has moved on. And LeBron, while he did play in the series against the Suns, he suffered the longest layoff of his career just before the playoffs. And Anthony Davis, of course, was injured there too. So I think there's some sort of a link there. And the Nuggets also already without their 2nd-best player in Jamal Murray, coming off a tough 6-game series against the Blazers, and they immediately go onto the road to play Phoenix. And apart from obviously Chris Paul and Jay Crowder, no one really has that playoff experience. So I think that could play a factor here, because you know that the Suns are going to be feeling great. And I know that having home court advantage is going to be huge, I think, in this series. And I think that could be a key here. So that backcourt for Denver has to be huge from the start. They can't afford to get off to a slow start, and they've got to try to make Devin Booker and Chris Paul work on that defensive end. And again, I think maybe Monte Morris is a little bit better at just making Devin or Chris Paul work, whichever one it is, because if they can just get into their offensive flow, it makes it a lot harder, I think, for the Nuggets to keep up. So it's going to be a fascinating series. I think the Nuggets, obviously with Jokic there, have the ultimately the best player currently in the series, but I just wonder if that backcourt will, they survived against the Blazers, but I didn't think outside of Lillard, the Blazers were all that good. Will they be able to sort of keep up again with these guys in Chris Paul and Jay Crowder? And then when guys coming off the bench, like, whoever it is there for the Phoenix Suns, just again, keeping up the pace. So that I think is the biggest question for the Nuggets. Again, when you start on the road, you've got to get off to a good start. And that's going to be the toughest part, I think, for the Nuggets coming off this tough series.
Cass, what do you think? Key to the series?
Well, I think it's going to be a pretty big jolt going from the Blazers defense to the Suns defense.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing. I mean, obviously,
defense to add defense.
Yeah. So Jokic is going to score no matter what. It doesn't matter if you've got the best defense against him, the 2nd best defense. I think again, it's going to be interesting to see what Michael Porter Jr. can do, because he was really good in the opening series. 19 points per game, 54 from the floor, 41 from 3, 91 from the free throw line. We saw the Suns were good enough to beat a team with 1 star, whether it's half a LeBron, half an Anthony Davis. But this is different. You got the 1 star in Jokic. You definitely need one to step up in Michael Porter Jr. Now, it's going to be different for him because of Mikal Bridges coming at him as a defensive guy. He's 4 inches shorter, Mikal Bridges is, but he's got a longer wingspan, and I think that's going to really help Michael Porter Jr. Against Michael Porter Jr. It's weird. He's 6'6" against Michael Porter Jr. 6'10", but his 7'1" wingspan against Michael Porter Jr. 7-foot wingspan. That's going to be interesting to see him running around screens, as Porter was able to do on Robert Covington or whoever was guarding him on the perimeter, and score like a madman in quarter 1 there of Game 6. This is going to be fun to watch. So the Suns were able to keep the Lakers out of the paint because they didn't have to go to the three-point line. But if Porter gets going, he can open things up for Jokic a bit, but that doesn't matter. He's going to score. More importantly, it's the driving lanes for Campazzo, Rivers, Monte Morris, and those Aaron Gordon cuts. I'm just concerned that this is finally the series that the Nuggets missed Jamal Murray finally, because in that season series against the Suns, he was really big. But TBD, if Porter steps up, maybe they don't. They have a lot of players who are obviously thriving just because of the confidence of Nikola Jokic. All those guys I just mentioned, all those guards Lee just went through. And if Porter steps up, which, it's a big question mark. Porter has made an incredible leap, got played off the floor last year in the bubble. He was, sometimes in the rotation and sometimes not. Now he's going to be asked to do a lot against a really good defense.
Yeah. I mean, it will help if Monte Morris continues to put up like 25 a game, which he basically did over the last two in that series, which is amazing. He had 28, right, in game 5, and then had the 22 and the pick and roll with Jokic, the Blazers to death there in game 6. He was awesome. Can he continue to do that? But Trey, what are you watching? Let's go talk some big men here, man. You're the big man of the group. What's happening
guards
inside?
are going to be interesting. I don't think Phoenix is going to let Denver off the hook quite the way that Portland did. I think Campazzo is going to stay in the starting lineup with Austin Rivers, though. I think they're going to use him on Chris Paul. That's going to be a hilarious matchup to watch. Somebody's taking an elbow to the face by game 3 between those two. It's going to be very funny. And honestly, with Chris Paul's health, I guess we'll see how he holds up. At least you're going to expect intangibles, defense, playmaking, veteranship, poise from Chris Paul. We'll see about the shooting. Booker is going to be Lillardy again. He's going to score points. There's no doubt about it. So to me, a lot of pressure on DeAndre Ayton in this one. Once again, he did incredible against the Lakers. 16 points, 11 rebounds a game, 80% field goal shooting, and the big number to me, 18 fouls in 6 games. That's great for DeAndre Ayton. He's going to need to do it again because he's the primary matchup for Nikola Jokic. Jokic, though, is healthy and balling. 33, 10, and 5 in the series against Portland. 53% from the field, 43 from 3, 92 from the line. And as we saw with Yusuf Nurkic, the guy draws fouls like a mug. Ayton, though, he was awesome in round 1. Great all year, but he was still outplayed by Anthony Davis in games 2 and 3 when Davis was really healthy. The Nuggets can win this series. The Nuggets can still win the championship. I don't know if you guys believe me yet. A massive Jokic series is coming, unless Ayton can stay on the court and limit him a little bit, because the Suns' backcourt is going to do it. The advantage for the Nuggets is inside. Jokic is going to ball out. Ayton has to do something to counteract it.
Yeah, I always catch myself thinking how do you guard Jokic? What's the best way to do it? Could you get Don Nelson-y with it and throw a smaller Jay Crowder on him, just get up in him? And then you're like, no, you can't. You can't do what you maybe used to be able to do to a younger Dirk, where that's what they would do, be it a Steven Jackson or a Matt Barnes, a smaller guy, and just get way up on him and make him uncomfortable and try and make him a playmaker. But you can't do it to Jokic because he's, 1, probably the best passer in the league, and then 2, he's just so huge. If you threw a Crowder on him, he'd just put his ass in the basket. That's all he would do. He'd just back up, and he'd either be fouled or he would just score because he's just a monster. And that's where he's obviously so much different than a Dirk, even though there are some similarities just with their impact on a game. And we saw what Dirk did on his own run to the finals there when he really had it going. But let's get to predictions, man. Lee, this is a tough one. I'm taking what all you guys are saying right now. I haven't even made my official prediction. I don't have anything written down because I want to hear what you guys said as the experts here. I want to know where Trey was leaning, where you're leaning. What do you have? What's your prediction for Suns Nuggets?
Ooh, this one is a tough one. Because I do think the Nuggets have the best player, but I think the Suns having home court advantage gives them the edge in this one. And again, they were just super, super impressive in that first round. Obviously, the Nuggets were too. So I just have a little bit more faith, I think, in collectively the defense of the Suns and the fact that, Devin Booker was incredible in his first playoff series. So I think it's a long one. I hope it's a long one, but I'm giving the tilt to the Suns. Home court advantage. I say it's Phoenix in 7.
Okay, Suns in 7. I wouldn't be angry with that type of series. Tass, what's your prediction?
Oh, it's a tough one. It really is. I assume the Suns have been able to manage Chris Paul's pain level and are able to keep him on the floor because, he doesn't have to score, obviously, like he didn't do against the Los Angeles Lakers, but he needs to be on the floor. just to kind of keep Devin Booker in his role of off the ball and let him be a shooting guard. He gives the confidence to the rest of the guys. He allows Campaign to come off the bench, so he doesn't have a huge burden on his shoulders, which is really important. 3 days before game one, does that help Chris Paul? I guess. But we have seen Chris Paul, crumble and fall and be injured. Frankly, I just watched Anthony Davis do it. So it's can't get that out of my mind. At the same time, it seems like they've managed to do that. So that's really important. They are freaking tough as nails. That's why I want Chris Paul on the floor, just to keep that up on the floor. And the big man battle, DeAndre Ayton being able to stay on the floor, they managed to do it. And they managed to be able to hold up even in Dario Saric and Frank Kaminsky minutes. I think they play one-on-one with Nikola Jokic and don't let the passing kill them. Don't let the Aaron Gordon cuts kill them. And they managed to pull it out in a fight, in a scrap. I'll say 7 as well, because the Nuggets have to be mad respected.
All right, so Suns in 7, ultimately going with, okay? Trey, you going to run with the Nuggets? They go into the finals here, big guy?
Well, they're going to the conference finals. Nuggets in 6 here. Jokic is unstoppable right now. He's been the best player in the league from the first month of the season. He's still been the best player in the league through the first 2 weeks of the playoffs. I don't see that stopping. Apparently, the stream team is saying Will Barton may be coming back. That would be huge for the Nuggets. I actually think they'll do a decent job of being able to match up on the perimeter as well. Obviously, Aaron Gordon isn't going to start on Devin Booker, but surely he'll get a chance at some point. Like I said, Campazzo versus Chris Paul is going to be a hilarious matchup to watch. And I think you're going to be able to hide Michael Porter Jr. on defense a little bit. And then, he's going to have a tough matchup trying to score against Mikal Bridges. But I'm a little bit of a Porter Jr. believer here. So give me the Nuggets in 6.
Okay, I'm going to hedge a little bit. I'm also going Nuggets, but I'm going to go Denver in 7. This will be the weird 7-game series that Denver regularly plays in. I just think some things are going to maybe disappear here for the Suns a little bit. Is Campaign going to continue to have 2 or 3 monster games in this series? I mean, I guess it's possible, but I'm going to bet against it. Crowder, as we've talked about, the guy can never miss, or he can never hit a 3. So maybe that comes back to earth a little bit. He was unbelievable there, of course, in game 6. And just the Jokic factor. He is the best player in the series, and I think that's what I'm coming down to. As much as I love Devin Booker, Booker should have, I would assume, some monster-like games in this series. Would you be shocked if we see a couple 40-plus, maybe even some 50-pluses against this Denver team? I wouldn't. I mean, we've seen it before from other stars in series against the Nuggets, last year and, of course, even last series with Lillard. So Booker's probably got that under in his bag, but I'll go Denver in 7. But it's tight. It is tight. So Tass and Lee take Suns in 7. Trey Kirby's got Nuggets in 6, and I'm hedging, like I said, and going Nuggets in 7, taking the road, rare, I guess, game 7 win. All right, let's hear from you guys in the stream team. Your predictions, drop them below the YouTube video. Let's take a quick break, though, before we get over to our Eastern Conference semifinals predictions.
We're all trying to get in shape and eat right. As y'all know, I'm trying to get Paul Walker ripped by September 22nd and have gained a whopping 1.4 pounds of pure muscle in the past 4 weeks by doing strenuous body weight exercises. But you can't out-train your diet. And that's where Freshly comes in. Their meals are designed by nutritionists and cooked by chefs, making it easier to eat better. Freshly offers chef-made, nutrient-packed, delicious meals delivered fresh to your door. No cooking required. With Freshly, your meals arrive cooked and fresh every week, so you can keep your fridge stocked and skip the trip to the store. Ordering is easy. Visit Freshly.com and choose from over 30 meals like sausage baked penne, their chicken pesto bowl, or our old friend, steak peppercorn.
Yeah.
Love the steak peppercorn. Love to say it even more. Right now, our listeners can try Freshly for just $6.16 per meal. Freshly meals are always delivered fresh, never frozen, and are ready to heat and enjoy in just 3 minutes. With new meals added each week, Freshly brings the convenience of chef-made, nutritionist-designed classics right to your kitchen. You know we love classics. Right now, our listeners can head to Freshly.com/NoDunks for $40 off your first 2 orders. Stop stressing about dinner. Go to Freshly.com/NoDunks for $40 off your first 2 orders. That's Freshly.com/NoDunks for 40 Fin Dogs off your first 2 orders.
Yeah, my wife, Roxana, is from Peru. So when we first started dating, we had some fun as I tried to learn her native language, which is Spanish. Whenever we exchanged emails or text, I would sprinkle in some of the Spanish words I knew. And she was always very encouraging and helpful, replying pretty quickly or correcting my words or congratulating me if I got it right. One day, we were going to head to a Raptors game later that night. I was pretty excited for it. So I sent her an email and thought it would be a slam dunk. But don't pardon the pun. And I said, hey, babe, I'm excitado for tonight's game. Are you excitado too? Now, I said she was usually pretty quick to respond. And on this day, she didn't. But she was at work. And I thought, well, maybe she's just busy, whatever. About 4 o'clock that day, I still hadn't heard from her on the emails. So I sent her a text message with the exact same text. Hey, babe, I'm excitado for tonight's game. Are you excitado too? And nothing. So I didn't think anything was off, and I thought there'd be a simple explanation. But then all of a sudden, I got the beep. And I got the beep beep on my phone, and she replied and said, "Looking forward to the game. See you there." So I was like, "Okay, so I guess we're on." I don't know, but it seemed a little curt. So fast forward to us meeting at the Air Canada Centre, and we hugged and kissed as normal. And I was checking for any body language signs of her being like annoyed at me, but nothing there. So I tried one more time with my line verbally. So she couldn't ignore it this time. And I said, so I'm muy excitado for the game. Are you excitado too? And she just turned around and walked off. She's walking up the stairs and I was like, what's going on? Why isn't she, responding? So I said one more time as we're walking up the stairs, I said, hey, are you excitado for the game? I'm really, really excitado. At the top of the stairs, she just stopped, turned around and said to me, dead straight face, excitado means horny. Now, if I had Babbel, the number one selling language learning app back then, I would have saved myself some embarrassment because Babbel's 15-minute lessons make it the perfect way to learn a new language on the go. Babbel designs their courses with practical, real-world conversations in mind, things that you get to use in everyday life. Babbel lessons were created by over 100 language experts, and with Babbel, you can choose from 14 different languages, so you too might be able to sound accidentally horny in several languages like French. Well, French is probably okay, actually, but Dutch, Russian, or Turkish. Now, there's a billion-dollar idea right there. Imagine you could create a language app where you could learn to speak like Turkish from Snatch. You took the donut out. You took the jam out of my donut, Tommy. You did. Anyway. So if you want to learn to babble like Marcus, right now, when you purchase a 3-month Babbel subscription, you'll get an additional 3 months for free, so you'll never talk alone. That's 6 months for the price of 3. Just go to babbel.com and use promo code NODUNKS. That's BABBL.com, code NODUNKS for an extra 3 months free. Babbel, language for life.
I want to start.
I thought you were talking about your trapped win, Lee. I thought you were saying I got to exit Tado. I got trapped win here.
I want to start like texting the guys before a big game saying, are you guys horny for this game?
I'm super horny. I'm so
horny for these next series we're about to break down here. I didn't even take any blue chews.
Yeah.
All right, let's get to them. In the Eastern Conference, we've got our 2 matchups. They are getting underway this weekend. We'll start with the Nets-Bucks in the 2-3 series there. Game 1, Saturday night, everybody. 7:30, perfect horny time for everyone to enjoy game 1. The Bucks may have taken the season series 2-1, but they have yet to see the Nets, of course. Big 3 at full strength because almost no one did, except maybe the first round there. Let's get to the keys to the series, and we'll make our predictions. Trey, we're going to start with you on this one. Nets-Bucks, what's the key to the series for you?
Oh, Skeets, I am muy excitado for this one. These 2 teams looked so good in round 1. Can't wait to see them smashing bodies excitado themselves. Do I make you excitado, baby? Yeah. Giannis, to me, is a problem that the Nets don't have an answer for. KD's going to get some turns for sure. Blake, perhaps. Nick Claxton, maybe. I think they'll miss Jeff Green a little bit. But really, the Nets don't have a Giannis stopper, obviously. So they're going to do everything they possibly can to help out on Giannis, whether that's doubling him when he has the ball down low, building a wall, just playing off him, kind of challenging him to shoot. They're going to do whatever they can to make other players on the Bucks beat them offensively. So it's imperative that the Bucks hit their threes because they got to keep up with the Nets scoring. Milwaukee finished 5th in percentage, 5th in makes from the three-point line this year. But the guy I'm looking at most interestedly in this series from a three-point shooting perspective got to be Pat Connaughton. Got the start for Dante DiVincenzo in Game 4 against the Heat. He's my guess as the guy that's going to be crack in the lineup as a starter in at least game one. More than likely, he starts on James Harden just because, Pat Connaughton's kind of a quickish, strongish guy, just like Harden. Maybe he can take some of the bumps, but he's definitely got the guy that the Nets are going to challenge to make some shots. Shot 37% from three this year, a career high since he became a rotation player. You need that guy, not the one who shot 15% in the series against the Bucks last year. The question to me is, how are the Bucks going to possibly keep up offensively with the Nets? It's got to be three-point shooting. So Connaughton's got to knock him down. PJ Tucker's got to knock him down when he's in. Bobby Portis, you need to see a Bryn Forbes game. Basically, the Bucks have to shoot threes to win this series.
Yeah, and Giannis is going to have to be a monster inside because he really wasn't against the Miami Heat, surprisingly, even though they got a sweep. He's got to be way, way better because, he does have an advantage inside. They shouldn't be able to stop him inside. But he only shot 45% from the floor against the Heat. That's a surprising number for Giannis Antetokounmpo, who should be able to dunk on everybody in that front lineup. And he took a lot of threes against the Heat. He was only 6% from three. That wasn't a typo. That's 6% from three. Yeah. So inside, what the hell do the Nets do? Obviously, Kevin Durant is going to be his primary guy, but with Giannis, you always have a second guy there. And I think if it's Blake Griffin starting, which is possible because they like that defensive ability to sort of rotate, whether it's Nick Claxton, the young fella, or they dust off DeAndre Jordan, which isn't good for their rotations, or Bruce Brown. They really do miss Jeff Green, who isn't going to start this series, most likely with the plantar fascia problem. No matter how you slice it, no matter how you look at it, the Nets are going to put up a shit ton of points. That's just the way it is. It's just an incredible offense. So, they're going to have to hit threes, but Giannis has the big advantage inside. He's got to be a 40-point guy, I think, when it comes down to it for their wins anyways. The Nets are going to score 120, 130 points. It's definitely a worrisome thing from the outside, but also just Giannis has to go get it because the Bucks – I think they're just a tad overhyped right now because they did get the big sweep, but Miami was absolutely horrendous. After that, the first game was a close game, and then 3 blowouts. But Miami just didn't know what the heck they were doing on offense. The Nets do, and the good thing is they've got great defensive matchups for the Nets that we'll get into. But offensively, they're not playing the Heat anymore. They're going to have to put up a lot of points on the offensive end. It starts with Giannis for me.
Well, Giannis and Durant had one of the best games of the year, didn't they? When they went for 49, I think Giannis had in one of those games. And then I think Durant had a 40 plus in the same game, just shooting lights out. Do you think Nash will put KD on Giannis to start the series, Tass? Or will it? We saw a lot of Blake on him, actually, in those 2 of the last games that he got the matchup there. You're saving KD offensively a little bit. You don't want to get him to foul trouble and the pressure that Giannis could put on. Or do you just say, no, he's our best defender, let's put him on it? Just like they did, the Bucks finally did, putting Giannis on Jimmy Butler.
Yeah, I guess, Nash is a lot smarter than I am, so maybe he saves Kevin Durant for later in the games because Giannis should be able to smoke Blake. He just has too much lateral speed. He's longer, he's bigger. Kevin Durant just seems like the more natural matchup. John Hollinger put up a heck of an idea with James Harden potentially guarding Giannis down low because he is such a stout guy. He is really good at guarding guys in the post. And you look up and down the roster. I mean, I threw all those names out there amongst the bigs. You got Kevin Durant, then Blake Griffin, Nick Claxton, DeAndre Jordan, Bruce Brown, Jeff Green. James Harden making frickin' sense, and you can definitely hide him. You can take Harden off of Pat Connaughton or whoever, and throw him on Giannis at times. I guess we're just going to see, like every great player, a ton of people on Giannis. Basically all those names except DeAndre Jordan. I don't think he gets dusted off, but that's a lot, man. It's At the same time, maybe they just score enough to win regardless.
Yeah, maybe they don't even talk about defense in the Nets locker room. They're like, who cares? Honestly, don't worry about it. We'll score enough. But Lee, what's your key to the series?
Yeah, well, look, I do think the Bucks are as well equipped as any other team to have players to put on the stars. Like Giannis athletically is big enough and strong enough to at least stick with KD. No one's stopping him. No one's going to, shut him down. But at least he could be the most difficult matchup KD faces. And Drew Holiday is a really good defensive matchup for Kyrie Irving. He just plays him well. Again, you're not stopping him. Kyrie's going to get his, but he could at least make it more difficult than anyone, Drew Holiday. But that just does leave James Harden. Now, who's that going to be? Is it going to be Pat Connaughton? Because it's either him or Chris Middleton. And that's really, I think, the biggest problem here for the Bucks is, you can look that those big three can all go for 40 points easily, even in one game potentially if they had to. And you just have to find a way to try to slow down at least one or two of them if you can. Middleton is going to cause the Nets to work on the defensive end because he's been fantastic for them in that mid-range. But what sort of effect can he have on stifling James Harden if he's on him, or if it's Pat Connaughton? Because James Harden, we know he can get inside. He's more than happy to play facilitator if he has to, but he's also going to be able to shoot, hit those step backs, and go to the free throw line. So that's just a big problem, I think, here for Milwaukee, because even as we saw in the series for the Nets in the first round there against the Celtics, at times, I think it was Kyrie only had 15 points in one game. Now they blew them out, but the point is, even if one of the big three doesn't go off, the other two still can. So you have to try to find a way to stop them. But I think the real key as well for the Bucks is to get as many easy baskets as you can. And if it is Blake Griffin, then Giannis has to just go inside, because you have to put pressure on that defense and not let the Nets just not have to try on the defensive end. So that's where Giannis has to. I hope he puts the three-pointer away for this series. I hope he just goes inside and tries to take advantage of his athletical advantage that he has if it is against Blake. And James Harden does have a fantastic
Athletical, yeah.
I never got a great subscription to the Athletic.
It sounds like the Spanish version of the Athletic.
James Harden, as a body post defender, I think that isn't actually the worst idea in the world. Yeah. I think he can cause Giannis some problems. But I think Giannis, if he sees Blake, he's like, right, I'm just going into the paint. If you're the Nets, you're going to hopefully try to draw some offensive fouls to get Giannis in trouble. But if it can work in the Bucks' favor, that's good. But if not, then you do throw Kevin Durant on him if necessary. So I see just a few different. Even though the Bucks' defense is good, again, there's just it's like playing, what's that whack-a-mole thing where it's like you can potentially
whack-a-mole.
Guacamole. You can potentially at least have good players, to sort of stifle those other guys, but then, someone else is going to pop up and score. So,
okay. I was like, well, hold on. I was like, finish that analogy.
Yeah. something.
Okay. I have a question though for you, Lee. Durant's Durant. Giannis is going to try and block his shot again, like we saw during the regular season, and blew everybody's minds. Like, whoa, I didn't even know that was possible. So
that's one of the funniest clips to me. He blocks his shot, but the Nets get 3 points on that possession.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
it's a three-pointer from the corner, and that's going to kind of be the story, isn't it? Like, you can stop a couple of guys. They've got 3 Hall of Famers out there. Plus, we haven't even mentioned Joe Harris yet.
Yeah,
that'll be interesting.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, he could easily hit 4 or 5 threes in a quarter and blow the game open. But I was going to say, okay, take KD out of the equation because, again, he's going to get 30. That's just what he does in every playoff series, it feels like. Who would you prefer if you're game planning to try and slow the Nets? Would you focus on stopping more, Harden or Kyrie? So, who is the straw that stirs the Nets drink there? If you had to just pick one, and I asked that because you say Drew Holiday will be on Kyrie, and I'm not so sure about that. If you believe Harden is actually the one that you sort of want to really try and gum up and slow down because he wants to set up guys and stuff like that, and maybe you put actually Drew on James Harden to try and prevent him from popping off and setting up guys left and right, because Drew is an unbelievable defender and the best probably perimeter defender on the Bucks. And then you're putting somebody else on a Kyrie. It's going to be a tough matchup, but a Middleton, a Connaughton, stuff like that. What do you think, or what is your answer, I guess, to that question?
Yeah, well, I think Drew probably does get some time on Harden as well because of his defensive prowess there. But I guess you probably want to stop Harden first because I think he's got a little bit more. I mean, Kyrie, we've seen Kyrie go for 40 easily, but I guess Harden is probably more of a
but I think the idea is Kyrie can go for 40, but Harden can go for 28, but 14 assists and add it all up, and it's just going to be, that's a lot more.
He's a better, I think, passer of the lobs inside, James Harden, than Kyrie Irving. But we saw when James Harden was at his best this season before the hamstring injury, it forced his way into the MVP conversation because he was just so dominant. So more than happy to play facilitator, but also James Harden is going to have a period at least where he's like, all right, now I'm scoring doing whatever I want, getting to the free throw line. So it's a Sophie's choice for the Budenholzer man there, because it's when you're playing whack-a-mole, there's always one that pops up and you can't keep them all down.
Yeah, way to go back to it. Awesome.
Yeah, muy excitado. So one of those guacamoles is going to be pointing straight up.
Okay, my key to the series here, before we get to our predictions for this one, I think it is Chris Middleton on both sides of the ball. He averaged 21.5 points per game, 4.5 assists per game, shooting 50% from the floor, 41% from three in that first round against the Heat. They're going to need him to maintain that production here, of course, against the Nets, and try and at least, if Harden is the guy going 28, like, come on, Middleton, give us 25. Because if you go back to the Bucks' last two playoff series loss, that is 2020 semis versus Miami, so last year in the bubble, and then 2019 Eastern Conference Finals versus the Raptors, the fact of the matter is Middleton was just inconsistent. Against the Raptors, he was, quite frankly, horrible outside of one 30-point game, which also came in a loss. He didn't score over 15 points in any of the other games. That ain't going to fly in this series. And then even against the bubble Heat, he shot well in the opener, and he had a 36, 8-8 in Milwaukee's lone win. But those other games, shot 6 of 15, 0 threes, only scored 18 in the other game, fouled out, shot 8 of 25 in game 5, played a lot of minutes. There was no Giannis and all that, had 6 turnovers. He fouled out again. You can't have this from Middleton. Middleton has to be offensively, especially, rock solid, I think. At least 4 times, of course, to win this series. And then again, like we just talked about the defense, I think he's going to get some minutes on Kyrie, maybe on Harden. And he's not a bad defender. We don't talk about Chris Middleton defensively at all. He gets no respect, but he's good. He is legit good. But can anybody actually slow those guys? He's got to be special. That's my key to the series, for the Bucks to pull this off and to win me $100, because that's really what we're focusing on here in this series. Yeah. It's the Tass Mellis versus J.E. Skeets bet. At least my first crack at it of trying to win $100 off Tass, because Tass had the Nets going to the finals as soon as they made the Harden deal, and I said no. Chemistry is a real thing, and they might lose here in one of these series. So,
Skeets, have you ever taken a picture with $100 bill? I think we need to split screen this to make it fair.
I can. Oh, geez, I don't have ever any money on me anymore. Can I just hold up my credit card and conveniently cover the numbers? Maybe I'll do.
I took those last night.
Venmo or something like that. Yeah,
I took both those last night. So
that's the man night on the town. Let's get to predictions. Trey, you go first. Bucks Nets. Who are you going?
Tass, you're a smart guy, man. During round 1 of the playoffs, you said that the big thing for the Nets is going to be getting to know each other. And that's exactly what happened. Even the big 3 was saying, yeah, we're not even worried about the playoff run right now. We're just worried about getting back out there and playing basketball together. So I think you're smart for that. And I think you're also smart for saying in the other 2-3 series in the Western Conference, what a bump up in difficulty that the Nuggets are going to face playing against the Suns now. Same thing is going to be happening for the Nets here. There wasn't much defense played by the Boston Celtics in their round 1 series. They were content to just try and outscore them. And that's what they're going to try and do against the Bucks. But the Bucks defense is so much better. That being said, I think the Nets have too many options. Give me Brooklyn in 7.
Okay, and that's in 7. Another 7-game series here. Tass, go next. What's your prediction?
I really hope that Pat Connaughton can do some kind of job on one of those Nets guards. But I think Mike Budenholzer is going to see that not working too well. So Kyrie and James Harden are going to be going off, and he's going to say, hey, Chris Middleton, come on over, man. We need you to play some defense here. And that's going to exhaust the dude. I think we kind of undervalue how important Chris Middleton is on the offensive end. Skeetsy went through it there. He is so important on the offensive end. He doesn't hit that game winner in game 1.
Yeah.
I don't know where that series goes against the Miami Heat. So I just worry about that Bucks defense, although it does definitely have really good matchups defensively. The Nets just have too many freaking weapons that are cooking, and I don't know if that chemistry thing ever is an actual downfall for this Brooklyn Nets team until the finals, maybe, or not. Yeah, a lot of people saying that this is the NBA Finals. I can start to see that now for sure. I'm buying that the Nets are definitely the stronger team, though, considering what the Milwaukee Bucks played in that first round, and even though people, look to those 2 matchups at the end of the season there where, yeah, the Bucks came out on top over the Nets. James Harden wasn't playing in either one of those. So I think the Bucks are a little overhyped right now, and I think the Nets bring them back to earth. I think the Nets will win in 6, even though, I hope the Bucks prove me wrong. I hope we get 7, but I'll go 6.
Okay. Lily, what's your pick?
Yeah, I think this is obviously going to be a much more difficult matchup for the Nets coming off the Celtics series. And Giannis has the ability to really put some pressure on that Nets defense, which is their weak spot. That's their vulnerability here. And if Giannis can stay out of foul trouble in terms of offensive fouling, and he can get inside and just score those easy baskets and put that 3-pointer away. And then he does get help from the other guys out there, like Drew Holiday, who was really good in the first round series. He's been brought in, of course, because Eric Bledsoe couldn't play in the playoffs. So I think there's a lot there for the Bucks, but I just think ultimately that Nets offense is just a little too heavy, and they pull it out. But I think we're going long. I think we're going to 6 or 7. I'll say the Nets in 7 because they have home court, but I would also like to be proven wrong. I'd like to see the Bucks upset them here, but I just feel there's just a little too much firepower from those vets for the Brooklyn Nets. So Brooklyn in 7.
This is where PJ Tucker makes his money. We didn't bring up Tucker there. I mean, he's going to get obviously chances, I think, on his old friend Kevin Durant. And I'm excited to see what Bud does with Brook Lopez. I mean, I think there's less of a role for a guy like him probably in this series. Be difficult to keep him out there. He'll get his chance, and if Brook can hit the threes, that's big. As you talked about, Trey, with the 3-point shooting. Look. If you guys are all taking the Nets, I have to take the Bucks. I mean, I already got a $100 bet riding on it. I mean, what would I do? I could sort of like do the weird hedge where it's like, well, I'm either going to lose $100 or I'm going to be the smart guy because I got the pick right. Screw that. It's Milwaukee Bucks, man. I believe in them. Drew Holiday is fantastic. He needs to neutralize one of those guards. God, can you do it? That's the thing. I know we always get into like, I don't care how good your defense is. Yeah. When the offense is that elite, can it be stopped? Well, let's find out. I'm going to go Bucks, though. So what do? I guess I'll just have to go Bucks in 6. Shout out to Brandon Jennings once again. We'll go with that. Hopefully we get a very long series, and it should be a super tightly contested series. Let's hear from the stream team, though. Drop your predictions. Leave them below the video. Nets Bucks game 1 Saturday night. We're horny as hell for this one. And
Could you like bet somebody else $100 on the Nets? Would somebody take the Bucks in this series?
Oh yeah, my buddy Grish is always ready for a bet. So yeah, I could call him up right now and say, "Hey man, you want to bet on the Bucks Nets series?" He would say, "Yes, absolutely." And then I'd say, "All right, I'll take the Nets, I guess," and see what he says. I think he would take the Bucks. There are a lot of people picking Milwaukee.
No doubt.
Yeah. They're for sure a very good team. It's just like it is tough to it's just tough to wrap your head around. I guess, 4 games sort of outgunning the Nets is what we're getting at here. If everybody's healthy. Now, this can change in a hurry, right? There's a rolled ankle for a KD or a Kyrie or something, and then it's maybe a little more even. But, yeah. Okay, I'll call up Grish. I'm going to do that. That's a good call.
And listen, I just want to address this comment from Ziggy, who's always in the stream team, talking about the opponents in the first round for both these Bucks and the Nets. He says Heat were better than the Celtics, at least. I don't get that take, honestly. The Heat were horrendous. They didn't know what they were doing.
Were they horrendous though because of the Bucks? Is the counter to that? Because Giannis was on Butler, and
once Giannis started guarding Jimmy Butler, they pooped their pants, and they had poop in their pants for the whole series and didn't know what to do with it.
Well, what do you do?
They did, man. They blew it. They completely blew it. The Heat were playing better than the Celtics coming into the playoffs, and then the Celtics were better than the Heat in the playoffs. Basically, because they got a 50-point game. You need to see some Chris Middleton 50-point games. Yeah. He needs to be the Jason Tatum for them in this series.
Yeah, I don't think it's just the Bucks that made the Heat look bad. The Heat just looked bad on their own. Jimmy Butler just wasn't hitting shots. I mean, he was driving, he wasn't hitting shots. Bam Adebayo didn't look like he knew where he was getting his shots.
Giannis on him. That was why didn't they do that the year prior? No one knows. He never played him. They never put Giannis on Butler, but they did this series.
No, he couldn't bank a shot home. I mean, he couldn't do anything. He stopped being able to beat Jimmy Butler. I don't think it was just Giannis at all. I think it was.
I disagree with that.
He was just bad.
All right. Well, that's why there's Ziggy. Keep your comments coming though. We love it, stream team. Okay. Final series here for us to predict here on the Drop Podcast. We got a lot to get to still. Yeah. Sixers, Hawks, the 1-5 matchup. Sixers took the season series 2-1. Dominated the last 2 meetings, actually, winning by a combined 66 points. Both of those coming at the Wells Fargo Center. Philly's lone loss to the Hawks came in January. Though I think that was the game the Sixers were missing like 8 guys. Like health and safety protocol. I don't think Simmons played. Anyway, game 1, Sunday. Hawks Sixers on ABC. Yeah, that's right. 1 p.m. Eastern. Keys to the series. I'll just start because it's the number one key to the series. Joel Embiid's health. How healthy is he? Is he playing? Because, if he doesn't, completely changes the complexion of this matchup. The Sixers, I saw Schumann with this stat, 30-6 when their full starting lineup were playing. And one of those losses was game 4 against Washington when Embiid didn't play after the first quarter. So, let's call it maybe 31-5 if he continues to play, and they probably win that game. So this is just it's huge. I don't think the Sixers will win this series without Joel Embiid. Yeah, because I believe in the Hawks at least that much, and I think they're that good. They're playing with house money at this point. They're loose. No one's picking really them to win again, like most people weren't against the Knicks. So I just think Embiid puts so much pressure on a Capella and a Collins. He gets them in foul trouble. He lives at the line, easy points. But if he doesn't play because of the knee, then it's more of a coin flip to me. So that's the key. And I don't think we really know the answer to that right now, as of recording this on Friday. I think they're hoping he'll play, right, Tass? But who knows? He's a giant dude that could play like we just saw with Anthony Davis, lands awkwardly, and then he's out for the series again. So that's massive to me. But I don't know, maybe you disagree that the Sixers couldn't win even if Embiid didn't play. Does anybody disagree with that?
Yeah, I think the Sixers could win even without Embiid. Yeah, I think, starting with the fact that they're able to guard Trae Young with Ben Simmons, that's going to be so different than the Knicks series, who are giving him a lot of space, and Taj Gibson was dropping back. And I think, that would be a lot on Joel Embiid if he comes out and plays, and they get him involved in the pick and roll. I think it's just going to be up to Ben Simmons really to get out there and scramble back so Joel Embiid can fall back himself and stop Clint Capella. Dwight Howard might be just healthier and better suited to do that right now. But either way, Simmons out there on Trae Young, he's going to take this extremely personally. He keeps on calling himself Defensive Player of the Year. He's going to do a really good job on Trae Young. And it's going to be up, I think, to the other Hawks to make up for what Trae Young isn't able to do in terms of setting guys up. Big pressure on Bogdanovic. But I think, the Simmons defense just takes away Clint Capella to a degree, because the center, whoever it is, if it's Dwight or Joel Embiid, can drop back. But Simmons is not going to allow that space that the Knicks, you just saw. Trae Young, he definitely perused into the lane a little too much, just too much. And they put Taj Gibson in there, and he was a fallback guy. And Embiid, I worry almost that if he does play, it's just so much to ask. He'll probably play like Taj Gibson did, but Ben Simmons will be out there. It'll be a lot different than Reggie Bullock. So that's interesting. Trae Young could pick him apart as well if they decide to fall back in that coverage. But it's hard not to really believe in Ben, who doesn't have a lot of offensive responsibility. I guess it goes up if Joel Embiid is out, though. So that's a huge question mark whether Embiid plays. I think he tries to fight through it. I think this was his season. He was an MVP candidate. I think we'll see him out there, when this thing gets going. But how long? It's totally fair. Who the heck knows that?
Trey, what's your key to the series?
Well, Skates, you're right. Embiid's health is the number one key to this series. If he's 100%, the Sixers win this series pretty easily, I think. But it does not look like he's going to be 100%. We have no idea what's going to happen. We have no idea if he's even going to play. People in the stream team are suggesting perhaps the Sixers keep him out until they lose a game. That could certainly happen, give him a little bit more rest, but it's a huge unknown. That's why Tobias Harris is Moverny key to me in this series, because he might have to be the 76ers leading scorer. We don't know what we're getting from Embiid. Simmons is unreliable as a scorer, at least. Coming into this series, I think Tobias Harris has to be an offensive hub for the Sixers. It's going to be a nice matchup. I think he'll have DeAndre Hunter on him a little bit. I think he'll have John Collins on him a little bit. They did a great job on Julius Randle, forced him into a lot of ISOs, played physical, and just made every possession tough. It felt like Randle was taking 48 dribbles every single time he had the ball. Harris is certainly a more skilled scorer than Randle. He scores in a lot different ways. He actually did lead the Sixers in scoring in round one. 25 a game, 50% from the field, 38 from three, 90 from the line. You need that again from Toby Harry. Quick, smart decisions, looking to get buckets, because the Hawks are going to score pretty well in this series. I think Trae Young will certainly have a tougher series than he had against the Knicks with Thibault and Simmons on him, but there's still a lot of scorers on the Hawks. They've been playing pretty well this second half of the season. That's why, to me, Tobias Harris got a lot of pressure on him this series to actually be a consistent scorer each and every game.
Very similar to Chris Middleton there in the Nets-Bucks series. I always think of those two guys as similar guys. They're like just on that borderline of like they're all-stars sort of guys, and some nights they look like almost borderline superstar guys, and they have these inconsistent nights. Anyway, Tobias Harris is a big one in this series, especially if there's no Embiid for the first couple of games maybe. Lee, key to the series before we get to predictions.
Well, I think it's a three-point shooting for both teams, really, because ultimately, yes, Trae Young is going to face a much stiffer challenge. I think it's either Simmons or Thibault. Both of them are going to get him at some point. Thibault's an incredible defender. He's got that length as well. And then even Tyrese Maxey might even get some minutes on him when those guys are resting. And I think the Sixers know, like, if you can slow Trae Young down, that can really stop their offense. Don't let him get going. But then Trae's probably going to prepare for it, and so is Nate McMillan, and say, Bogdanovic, you've got to hit those threes again. John Collins got it going towards the end of that series. Kevin Huerta coming off the bench. He can hit some threes. And then you've got Gallinari, man. And Danilo Gallinari moves like a cement mixer out there, but he can still hit the three-pointer. And that, especially down here in Atlanta, he was very good. And he was getting pretty carried away down there too. Had a nice little step back sort of between the legs move. He missed it. But once those threes are falling, he's just confident because he kind of, and this is again where they will potentially, if Joel Embiid is not playing, Danilo Gallinari almost sort of fills in as their sort of big man there for a while as well when Capella's on the bench, and sometimes it's John Collins and Danilo Gallinari. If Joel Embiid is playing, they cannot have Gallinari out there defending Embiid at all. He will get destroyed. But I think as well for the Sixers, like Seth Curry was good in this series. Danny Green hit 13 threes in the series against the Wizards. It's the Wizards, but Danny Green, as a veteran, can still do that in the corner. Raptors fans know he had one good game against the Warriors that time, but he hit 6 threes in that game. I think it was game 3 in Oakland where he hit those threes, and he did the same thing for the Lakers in the bubble there. So he might only have 1 or 2 good games, but it could be game-turning events for him. So I think with Philadelphia, if those threes are falling, I mean, Ben Simmons, we know he doesn't shoot them, but certainly if he can penetrate and get those guys into their spots and they're knocking them down, that offense for Philadelphia is fantastic. As far as Joel Embiid, I wonder if the Sixers look and see what happened with Anthony Davis last night and think, it's not worth the risk. They look at maybe Kevin Durant in the finals against the Raptors a couple of years ago. He clearly wasn't ready to go and did further damage. I don't know what a meniscus tear, how serious that is, but it just sounds grotesque and sounds awful to me. So I'll be surprised if Embiid is certainly playing in the first game or two. And then depending on how the series is, maybe Philadelphia decides to risk it. But it's sad because we want to see the best players out there. That's the best thing for fans, is to see the teams at full strength playing each other. And I think even if Embiid does play, we'll be able to tell, I think, if he's on the court in the first 5 minutes, whether or not that knee is bothering him, because we saw that with Chris Paul. He wasn't at his best. And we saw that with Anthony Davis. He clearly wasn't at his best. So we might get a glimpse either way of just how bad that knee is. But I think if those threes are falling for the Hawks, that's their best chance of staying here with Philadelphia, because this is a much better defensive team. Well, I say that the Knicks actually had a great defensive rating, but
this is different. Because Tex was saying, by no means you're playing Trae Young, or you're going to do drop coverage. That'd be silly. So you're going to run him over and you're going to get him into the paint. But they're so long and so fast, Thibault and Simmons, they're going to be challenging from behind on these floaters. That gets in your head as an offensive player.
That's just that Trae likes to draw fouls, though.
Yeah, exactly. You'll see that. You'll 100% see the old Chris Paul stop there, and I'm sure he'll get some of them. But then too, Embiid, we're talking offensively, he'd put up 30 and 15, I'm sure, in this series if he's playing. But defensively, you're going to get Trae in there, and then Embiid's in there. That's going to make Trae think twice at the rim and stuff like that, and maybe take away those lobs. So that's why he's huge. You're right. Knicks had a good defense, but I think it's just such a different defense for the Sixers with the guys they have that you can put on the perimeter.
Yeah, and statistically throughout the regular season, it's just different. In a series, the Nate McMillan, the Hawks found a way to basically pick it apart, and it didn't look anywhere near as convincing in the playoffs in that series. So the
Hawks have a lot of offensive firepower.
They do, but those
all
shots,
guys that can catch fire.
Those shots just have to fall. Like for any team, once they're falling, it just spreads the floor and it opens it up. And Bogdanovic and Gallinari weren't all that great in New York, but they were pretty good down here in Atlanta. So if they can even it out a little bit more, that's going to help the Hawks.
All right, well, let's talk actual predictions here. Trae, back to you. Who's winning this? How many games? I'm excited to see if anybody will take the hometown Hawks here to continue. But TK, you go first.
This is the hardest series to pick because we have no idea what's going on with Embiid. If somehow he comes back and this meniscus tear is a little bit more like a sprain, which I don't think a lot of people realize. A sprain is just a tiny meniscus tear. It really is. But if he's able to play, if he's able to be at 95%, this is an easy win, I think, for the Sixers. But I'm not super confident that Embiid is going to be able to play at his best for the entire series. But is that enough to make you want to pick the Hawks? I don't know, because we've seen in the past the Sixers have been successful playing with Ben Simmons at the 5. I think they can even do okay with Dwight Howard getting 25 minutes at the 5, just smashing his body into Clint Capella in a revenge series for Dwight Howard. This is almost a double revenge series for Dwight Howard because he was replaced as the Houston center by Clint Capella, and he was waived by the Atlanta Hawks. Wow. Maybe Dwight Howard is the key to this series. I think we'll know a lot in game 1, like Lee is saying here, with what we see from Embiid. I'm going to go Sixers in 6. It could go the other way, certainly.
Okay. Tess, where are you going?
Yeah, a great punter here in the stream team. Nair comments, Embiid should trust the healing process. Nice. I first say Embiid's going to play through that pain because it's his MVP season, MVP caliber season, and he should want to play out there. But then on the other side, he had this same meniscus tear in his rookie year. He ended up having to undergo season-ending surgery. So I don't know anything about his physical health. I just think that the Sixers are rolling right now going up against the Atlanta Hawks. I think Seth Curry is going to have a great series going up against the backcourt of Trae Young and Bogdan Bogdanovic. Seth Curry is a streaky player, just came off a 30-point night, feeling good to end that series against the Wizards. And Trae Young's not going to be able to hide. I don't think in this series. It's going to be a little different for him. So when Trae's guarding Seth, I don't really think there's much more of another option, really. I guess you throw him on Danny Green.
Danny Green for sure. They'll be a very similar, I think, to Reggie Bullock, where it's like you're fine because if he gets off a screen, they might be open for a split second there, but you're not worried about Danny Green putting the ball on the floor and getting to the hoop. Same with Reggie Bullock. That's where he's going to hide, I think.
That's totally true. Then just get Danny Green off the floor, I think. If you're Doc Rivers, just go with Ben Simmons and Trae Young in your backcourt. And then Simmons and exactly, and Seth in your backcourt, and then figure it out from there. I want to take the hometown Hawks, and I felt good doing it in Series 1. But there's not only is Seth Curry playing well. You talked about Tobias Harris being a key. He's feeling good too. He's playing really well. So is Ben Simmons, and I think that's important. The confidence level of a number 1 seeded team should never be questioned, but these guys have, never really been in this position, but they gotta feel good. They have to feel good right now, and I think they make life hell for Trae Young. I'll take him in 6.
Okay, Lee.
I'm heading down to the Fortress for at least one of these hometown.
Oh, you are? You're already looking at standing room only tickets?
Yeah, of course. It was so much fun down there last week. I want to cheer for the Hawks. I want the Hawks to win. I think they can win. I think things have to go right for them. And I do think the Embiid factor is going to be significant in this series because Dwight, he still gets himself in these silly fouls and he can get a flagrant every now and again. Like he's going to put a body on Capella.
Oh,
for sure.
He's definitely picking up a flagrant.
Of course he is. He does it all the time. He'll catch some lobs and they'll throw those dunks to him, but he'll get himself into his own into a mess as always. And I just have faith in that. Those threes being able to fall for the Hawks here. I think they've got some really good players, and I think they've got some really good. I thought their defense was way more impressive too in this series, and I think they understand this has to be at that same level, if not increased here for this series against Philadelphia. So I'm taking the hometown Hawks. Give me the Hawks. We're going to close it out in 6. The Fortress is going to be bumping.
Oh yeah, sounds like you'll be there in person.
Well, it might not even go 6. Maybe the Hawks sweep them in 4 or 5. Who knows?
That's getting crazy. Okay, so you're taking Hawks in 6?
Yeah, why not?
Wow. Yeah, why not? That's the way to look at it, man. I'm going with the other two guys. I'm going Sixers in 6. I do think Embiid's ultimately going to play, and I think they just have the defensive guys to slow Trae Young, and Doc Rivers is not an idiot. They're going to go at Trae Young. They're going to put him in action, and he won't be able to hide as easy as he definitely did in the Knicks. Like, they almost never went at him. He didn't have to do anything defensively.
Who do you really think is going to exploit Trae Young?
Well, it's just like Seth Curry and Ben Simmons. If that's the backcourt they're going to be going to at times, he's going to be in action. There's going to be no way to hide him.
I think that's probably true, but I mean, if Seth Curry's taking all your shots, I think that's a win for the Hawks.
Well, yeah.
He can hide on Thibault. He can hide on Danny Green, like we're saying. He can kind of hide a little bit on Ben Simmons.
He shouldn't be able to. I
Yeah,
mean, if Simmons is aggressive.
Send him to the line.
You're right.
Shoot some free throws. Like anytime he gets him in the post, foul him. Send him to the line.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll see. That'll be the little chess match here between Nate McMillan and Doc Rivers. I got Sixers and 6, so I'm going with Tass and Trey in this one. And Lee's going Hawks and 6. Let's see the stream team's picks. Drop them there. Drop them in the video below, or in the comments below the video, I should say. Okay, we still got 5-Star Friday to get to. We've got Tweet of the Night. We got Rapid Fire, which we actually have to try and make rapid this time. But first, or finally, another quick break to hear from our sponsors.
So, guys, I just bought a house, and I bought this house that I'm in now before I sold my old house. So I had to get a bridge loan for that. Ugh, terrible feeling. Just going around from bank to bank. Your hat is in your hand. Bank, please loan me money. I'm good for it. Here's all my personal information. Here's the latest results of my latest colonoscopy. Here, I promise, I'll pay you back. Not gonna lie, I got denied a few times. Here's a tip. Don't just show up at a bank with a top hat in your hand asking to borrow money. Terrible strategy. Here's another tip. Try Credit Karma. Credit Karma. It's a game-changing technology that shows you tailored offers for credit cards and personal loans that you're more likely to be approved for, so you can apply with more confidence. Whether you want cash back, travel rewards, or just to consolidate some debt, Credit Karma can help you find the offers that fit your goals. With a selection of options and approval odds, you have the power to make informed decisions. Go to creditkarma.com/nodunks to learn more and find offers tailored just for you. That's creditkarma.com/nodunks. Or you can see your offers on the Credit Karma app. Apply with confidence today. Go to creditkarma.com/nodunks or the Credit Karma app.
We all know that we should drink more water, but by the time you feel thirsty, it's too late. You're already dehydrated. Can't focus. You feel tired. Happened to me yesterday, shooting hoops with Trey. Didn't drink enough water. We're playing horse, just shooting around outside for the first time in 14 or 15 months. Oh, no, I cramped up so bad. I was down on the ground. TK had to carry me to my car like he was Hodor. It was embarrassing.
Hop on my back, bud.
Yeah, man.
I didn't give you the fireman's lift over the shoulder like that.
Fireman's carry?
Yeah.
No, he straight up wore me like a backpack. Carried me to my car because I was cramping so bad. Could have used Hydrant is the point of that story. Hydrant is a refreshing drink mix powder made with 4 key electrolytes: sodium, potassium, magnesium, and zinc. It's made with real fruit juice powder. No nonsense, all science. They also have this new bedtime mix called Hydrant Sleep, which is carefully formulated to promote restful sleep and hydration. You suck back one of these and you'll sleep like a grandpa. I said grandpa. I didn't say baby. Because you don't want to sleep like a baby. I guess at times you maybe do, but I know a lot of babies that are like waking up all the time, Lee, crying during the middle of the night. I ain't ever heard grandpa wake up during a nap or sleeping. He's out like a light. So sleep like a grandpa with Hydrant Sleep. There you go. That's your tagline, Hydrant. Plus, Hydrant is backed by a 100% satisfaction guarantee. If you don't love it, send it back for a full refund. But you won't, because it tastes incredible and it works. And y'all know we got a special deal for our listeners to save 20% off your first order. Go to drinkhydrant.com/nodunks or enter our promo code NODUNKS at checkout. That's drinkhydrant.com/nodunks and enter the promo code NODUNKS for 20% off your first order. Drinkhydrant.com/nodunks. Enter the promo code NODUNKS to save at least 20%. Hydrant, where water meets wellness.
Problem with sleeping like a grandpa, though, is that grandpas sleep for like 5 or 6 hours at night. They get up like 4 times to pee if they're really old.
Okay, the peeing is an issue. Sure.
What about a baby grandpa? Let's mix them both. Like a really young grandpa.
Like Brad Pitt in that
movie? Like Jack Armstrong. He's the baby grandpa.
What about Zach Cox as a baby grandpa?
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway, if you haven't noticed, I talk for a living, but I generally talk about other people, like basketball players. Talking about myself Far more difficult. But I try to because it's helpful. And I've gone the professional route before, and that is very helpful. Professional counseling, like our sponsor, BetterHelp. BetterHelp will assess your needs and match you with your own licensed professional therapist. Connect in a safe and private online environment. It's so convenient. You can start communicating in under 48 hours. It's not a crisis line. It's not self-help. It is professional counseling done securely online. Send a message to your counselor anytime. You'll get timely and thoughtful responses. Plus, you can schedule weekly video or phone sessions. It's more affordable than traditional offline counseling, and financial aid is available. We want you to start living a happier life today. As a listener, you'll get 10% off your first month by visiting our sponsor at betterhelp.com/nodunks. Join over 1 million people who have taken charge of their mental health. Again, that's BetterHelp, HELP.com/nodunks.
All right, let's get to some 5-Star Friday fun. Trey Kirby, explain this for any of the new listeners or YouTube viewers.
Don't mind if I do. Skeetsington 5-Star Friday. The first Friday of every month, we read 5 of the best 5-star reviews on Apple Podcasts from the previous month. These reviews help us in the rankings. The rankings help us on the charts. The charts help us on the downloads. The downloads help us on everything. So get your reviews in. Get us up on them charts. We want to be at number 1 by tomorrow afternoon. That's how you do it, right, Skeets?
Yeah.
Make a big ask. Make a huge ask and see what they come in on. Anyways, here are your top 5-star reviews from the month of May. First one, Hoops and Thought Loops from the Impatient Chapo Hit Squad. Leave basketball reference behind and let these certified psychonauts guide you across a vast mindscape full of wedgies and roast beef, and the only podcast approved by Manu Ginobili and Terrence McKenna.
Wow, what a start.
Yeah, no doubt. This one makes me feel like we're talking some real big brain stuff on here, not just jokes about drinking water and me carrying you to your car. Great review. Our second 5-star review comes to us from Jahidi White. I don't think it's that one. Maybe a pseudonym. Silky_Johnson is the title for no reason. Best podcast, period. I love the laid-back hoop talk. This makes you feel like you're just talking hoops with a group of friends. Keep up all the great work and hard work. Thanks for all the effort you guys put in every day, especially JD. Tulip, Blue Skies, Blossom. Thank you, Jahidi White.
Yeah, I like that little specific JD shout out. You like that, JD?
Absolutely.
You feel loved?
Oh, I love it. Thank you, Silky.
Was that Rachel who put in that one there?
Yeah.
Why don't you get a little bit more
Silky.
recognition?
You call your wife
Silky
Silky Johnson?
Yeah.
Blossom. I like the Blossom in there too. What about a Blossom reunion? We've been having these friends
Wow,
reunion.
yeah.
It's
Been a
happening,
bad
isn't
boy.
it? It's happening.
What?
I think so.
Whoa.
Isn't there?
Yeah.
Or it's been rebooted. It's a reboot.
Oh.
I think.
She's
What's
re-blossomed.
6 up to? Haven't heard much
Must
about
be a
6
perennial.
lately.
Yeah, nothing at all.
This guy is into gardening.
I like that. You like
Yeah,
that?
I do like that.
Nice.
Our next review comes to us from Big Daddy Watermelon. Okay, this is actually kind of funny, is the title here. Always fun, always funny, and very entertaining. If you're thinking, this is tough to get into, there seems to be so many in-jokes I don't get, just wait it out, and you'll have a whole new set to be a part of before you know it. These guys aren't pretentious, and they actually know what they're talking about, making it much better automatically than 90% of B-ball pods. I love the part. This is tough to get into. There seems to be so many in-jokes I don't get, but just wait it out.
Yeah.
Literally just wait a week, and there'll be a whole fresh slate of jokes for you to understand.
Yeah.
Speaking of inside jokes that you may not understand, our next review comes to us from Selena Quill, titled Infectious. Here's a couple of those inside jokes. The spoon fork and trucks that sell food in them confusion is catching on, as No Dunks promoted 2 other podcasts recently. I spent an entire Shattered episode wondering when it was going to move on from the Knicks and start talking about basketball in the 1980s before realizing I meant to start Death at the Wing. 5 of 5 stars. Would be willing to take more podcast recommendations and muddle-headedness, throwing in the tagline at the end. What's better than this? Guys being dudes. Turn up. Love you guys. Awesome. You're getting 4 inside jokes, 2 podcast recommendations. That's why you got to stick with No Dunks.
I've never heard the word muddle-headedness. Never seen it, never heard it. Is it a real word? I guess it is.
I don't know. Throw it in your Grammarly, dog.
You've got to be super athletical to figure that one out.
Babble.
Check your babs. Very muddle-headedness to me sounds like in Elf when he starts calling people cotton-headed ninny muggins. Very similar words. I don't know why. But that was our 4th review. Our last and final 5-star review comes from Hesho55. 5 stars. Y'all are nice dudes. Keep it up. We will.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Hesho.
5-star review. They don't need to be like long paragraphs.
That's
It's
right.
Short and
That's
sweet
right.
and to the point. Thank you so much to everybody out there dropping those 5-star ratings and reviews on Apple Podcasts. They do sincerely help us out. So if you haven't dropped one, you listen to us on Apple Podcasts, please go ahead, take a second and do it. Still can't do it on Spotify, eh? What's up with that? Weird. Just weird if you ask me.
They want to handle the recommendations, I guess.
I know,
over there
right?
at Spotify rather than letting the people, the reviews
But I will say,
count.
thanks to everybody that's been like tagging us on Instagram, especially. Like, I guess Spotify had one of those recent things where like they look at all the music and podcasts you listen to and say, hey, you're a weird guy. You like the No Dunks podcast, and then like you could share it on social. Anyway, everybody was tagging us, so thanks for everybody for doing that.
Yeah.
All right, let's get to tweet of the night.
Tweet of the night. Wow.
Twitter.
All right. Well, it's almost summertime here in the northern hemisphere, I guess. That's some big brain stuff right there. I know it's summer in the northern hemisphere. Anyway, so people are talking about ice cream, right?
Yep.
Yeah, of course. I've been looking at the Baskin Robbins near me, thinking about some mint chocolate chip, which some people hate. Some people don't like mint chocolate chip at all. I get it. I understand. That brings me to Tweet of the Night by Andrea Nordgren, who asks, what are you ordering from the ice cream truck? And then many, many photos of different ice creams, including a SpongeBob bar, a Choco Taco, a strawberry shortcake, a snow cone, a firecracker, screwball chipwich king cone, ice cream sandwich, push-up pops, drumstick, Powerpuff Girls bar, creamsicle, chocolate eclair, and a fudge pop. Wow. It's tough. It's tough. I'll start us off. I go classic chipwich. I love the texture.
Wow.
Chipwich.
A chipwich?
Oh, yeah, baby. I hope it's not a real cheap one, but even then, I'd probably still go chipwich. I'd look at the creamsicle. I'd look at the ice cream sandwich, but chipwich, yeah, it's just something about the multiple textures you get with the hard and the soft. And I'd look at the Powerpuff Girls bar and I'd say, what the hell is that? And then I'd choose a chipwich. What are you guys taking from this?
Well, I love that you went with this because Lee, you were like just sharing on one of your Instagram or Twitter accounts the ice cream truck. You were not happy with it, a van. The other day.
God, that was yesterday. Yeah, the van, a dirty old thing with just the magnets on the side. No romance anymore. You don't go up anymore and you see the little man wearing his hat and doing the dance. It's just kind of like rough. He pulls over. What do you want? This? Have that.
What are you going to retweet here?
Throws you a SpongeBob bar.
Disgusted with that.
Have you ever seen an ice cream guy dance?
No.
Nah, but at least they used to, get into it a little bit. I mean,
what do you mean get into it?
Well, they used to at least have the pop-up van, right? This guy was just driving the rental.
You mean more of a truck? This was a van.
Yeah, this was just a van. This was just like someone's van. That's like, all right, this is the best I can do for the kids. I don't care anymore. I'm just in it for the money.
It's actually smarter if you think about it. The truck was too high. It was tough to get up there when you were small.
No, but at least the part of the journey was going up to the truck and checking it out and seeing all the decorations on the side. This thing needed a good wash for one, and it just needed a little bit more color. Just clean it, just clean the wheels, do something, man. I was disgusted by it. Yeah.
You are such a hoity-toity, man. Oh, man.
I just like a little tradition with my ice cream trucks, okay?
All right.
The game's changed, man.
Okay, well, what are you ordering?
Well, I like the caricature ice creams, Now, on this particular one, you've got SpongeBob or Powder Puff Girls. I prefer like a Scooby-Doo or a Ninja Turtle, something like that. So I'd be going
Are
that.
you serious right now? That's
Yes,
what
of
you would
course.
order. Wow.
Yeah, but now seeing in this particular option we have here, there's none of those. I'd probably go with the creamsicle. Actually, I don't mind the creamsicle.
Wow, I love a creamsicle. That's I got
Yeah.
no problem with that pick.
Cream City
Yeah.
over here. This is
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah, because I look, I don't know if I want to be walking around with a Powder Puff Girls bar. I'm just not sure. I think at least Scooby or Donatello or Leonardo, whoever the Ninja Turtles is it's fine, but wasn't
I
really
believe
into
it's-
Powder Puff.
I believe it's Powerpuff. Not
Oh,
Powder.
Powerpuff, is it?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, there you go. See? So give me the creamsicle in this case.
Wow. All right. Trey,
Good pick.
what are you picking, man?
I'm going Choco Taco if they actually have them. I will say that it's not my favorite on here, but I cannot resist when I see it. It's I don't know. It just feels like limited edition to me because whether it be a truck, a well-maintained truck with a man dancing in it, or a disgusting, grotesque van, not everyone will have a Choco Taco. But if it's there, I got to order it just because it's almost like a Shamrock Shake to me. It's like, oh, it's here. I'm going to get it. Generally, though, I'm going chocolate eclair for these ones.
Okay. Well, I mean, there's you guys know I'm picking something that has a popsicle stick, so I can chew on that after I'm
yeah,
done
gotta get a
enjoying the
stick.
treat. So there's like 7 options here with a stick, but I love a creamsicle. I like that where you guys were leaning there. I know Tass, you're sort of thinking about it, and you too, Lee. I'll just keep it simple. This is summertime. Give me a firecracker. Getting 3 different flavors in one, and I get the stick. Yeah. I remember them being like, well, actually, they're a little deceiving, right? Some of them are wider than others. Where I remember it being a little bit longer, so it felt like more of a treat. But give me the classic. Probably the cheapest in the truck, too. That dirty truck that just pulled up and threw it at me. JD, what are you picking?
I'm exactly on the same page as Trey. I gotta have that chocolate.
Yeah, buddy.
Wow. Fun
And
to
then
say.
second is the chocolate eclair. I like it busy. Like Tass said, you got to have the crunchy with the sweet and a little bit of savory with the nuts there. But yeah, Choco Taco is underrated treat around here.
Okay. All right. Well, let's hear from everybody. Can't wait to see the answers. Everybody's got a strong opinion about the ice cream truck, especially Lee Ellis, apparently.
What's
Not
the
just what's in it.
difference there between the snowball and what was that other one called? The screwball, snow cone, and
Yeah.
screwball.
What's
These
a
look
screwball?
very similar to me, just like a slushy sort of thing. I don't know that I've seen those, and I guess king cone and drumstick are pretty similar as well. Though I would say king cone over drumstick personally.
Yeah. Yeah. Those are similar. I've never seen a screwball, but it just looks
same.
like the same thing to me. You're right. Just in a clear cup.
People are saying it comes with gum. Protocol comes with gum. Then you have something from when all your friends are done. Like you're sharing this gum. I don't know.
What?
That's crazy talk to me. You have something when all your friends are done with their ice cream. 2 treats for one. Skeets, I know you like chewing on that stick, but you're getting a nice deal here on that screwball.
I just don't remember them having screwballs in the ice cream trucks in Canada. There was a couple items there. I was like, I don't think we had that, but I didn't know the gum option. Good to know. They should do a better job of calling it something else. Like I don't think gum when I'm thinking screwball. Call it chew ball. Yeah,
I thought it had alcohol in it for a second.
Yeah, it does look like a boozy drink. All right, so great to that was fun. Let's wrap this up with a little rapid fire. Let's try and make it as rapid as possible, guys. Come on, let's do it. JD, you've got the questions today.
All right, guys. Trae Young expertly trolled the crowd at MSG Wednesday night with a Reggie Miller-esque bow at center court after he nailed a 30-foot basket to cap off the series. Tell us about a time you slipped into full villain mode. Tass.
Well, nightly, I've been reading a comic to my young girl. It's called Double Trouble. It's Spider-Man versus Venom. So every night I've got to take on the role of Venom, who often uses gum to catch Spider-Man. Because what a jerk. I mean, recently they've been living together and Spider-Man will make food for the both of them. Venom will just come in and suck every noodle back and not leave Spider-Man with anything. What a jerk, huh? Anyway, so yeah, I pull. Yeah, Spider-Man. My geeky Spider-Man voice is getting super geeky. Spider-Man's not. He's just kind of normal. But yeah, I've been going really crazy with my Venoms. It's almost Batman-esque, and Spider-Man's like, "Hey, go touch my noodles."
Pretty good.
Yeah,
not bad.
Yeah, very Peter Parker.
Lately,
Don't touch my noodles.
pretty much any time someone brings up something about New Zealand or Adelaide in Australia, I have to go into full villain mode and pick on those cities and those countries with New Zealand and just make fun of them. I have to do it. I can't not do it. Now, most people know I'm only joking, but not everyone does. And I get a few nasty messages from people saying, "Hey, fuck you, man. Adelaide's way cooler than Melbourne." I'm like, it's not. It's just not. No. And if anyone compliments New Zealand, I just have to say, yeah, but it's still New Zealand. So, a lot of my Kiwi friends know I'm just there. It's part of the big brother, little brother sort of rivalry that we have there between Australia and New Zealand. But I can't let an opportunity slip. So I have to do it every single time.
Yeah, you got to. Skeets.
Well, I've talked about my godson before. He's 6 years old. He's pretty athletic. He's into all sports, like most kids are. So he's playing baseball. He's playing football now, or flag football down here in the South, and playing a little soccer. And, he thinks he's the greatest athlete of all time. So sometimes I got to really put him in his place, and I just go full villain mode, especially a soccer little match we had. It was not a match. We were just playing sort of like one-on-one, just in my little yard here. But I just decided I had heard enough of him saying he's like the greatest soccer player ever, and I just went full Billy Madison and just destroyed him. Because usually, you're like giving up a goal or two or whatever if you're playing hoops. And I was like, nah, I'm just gonna crush it off your face. I popped him in the head once with the ball. It was 10-0. We were playing to 10-0. And you just got to put him in your place. But I'm full villain mode for sure.
Yeah, nothing I love better than to bring a kid down a couple of
you have to.
You have to. All right, next one. We got a comment from Joseph in Fort Worth, Texas, that simply says, "I, for one, dig the coaches wearing the team pullovers."
Okay.
I mean, I guess they're fine. It kind of reminds me of when you guys were forced to wear the mechanic shirts back in Summer League.
Yep.
Here they are. The Stream Team. You're looking at them here. To be honest, I was annoyed when it happened, but the look actually kind of grew on me.
It did start looking cool for some weird reason. Yeah.
I don't know. I just kind of like it now. I have a couple in my closet. I may actually wear them around this summer. Why not, right? So tell me, what's something you kind of hated at the time, but looking back, wasn't that bad? Tass.
Okay, here's a stupid answer. I used to, whenever I was, usually it would happen, I'm at a red light. And I'd just be leaning on my hand, or I'd rub my hand across my face. I'd notice that there was a stray hair coming out of my nose. So I'd just pull it up. And it hurts.
Yeah.
It definitely hurts.
Make your eyes water at times.
Yeah, definitely a tear may come out of the eye. But I mean, it's pretty quick. But definitely hurts. Maybe a sneeze happens. Now, plug, I've got the Manscaped nose trimmer. I get in there, finish the job, not having to pull it out. But looking back, it wasn't that bad. It was just a real quick 2 seconds of real pain, and I didn't need a device to use it to get it. So cool answer, man.
Do you sniff it like your earwax?
A sniff a hair?
Yeah.
Out of your nose? Why
it's
bother?
already in your nose.
Yeah,
But it's sniffing it the whole time. Yeah, dumb question. I'm sorry, dumb question.
You ever do the wax, like a full wax? Boom.
Oh, no. Have you?
Yes, of course. God, I love it.
Oh my God!
Wax
You must cry. Tears must come.
Tears. Yeah, and I get usually I get Jackson or Lincoln to do it both at the same time too. Boom.
That should be a pick and payoff.
Plugger.
Oh yeah.
I should have to do that for one of my pick and payoffs. Because I don't want to do that, and that will hurt.
Yeah.
And I have a lot of nose hair. So.
And you owe two, so one for each nostril, right?
Oh wow, I didn't think of that. Okay. Well,
all right, Leela, you got an answer.
Hold on. I'm curious how you get the wax in your nose. Are you just pouring wax up your nose?
No, there's an applicator. It's you buy a kit, and it's pretty cool actually. And then it's like hot wax. It has to be a specific texture and temperature, and you just put it up there and you leave it there for 90 seconds. And then you yank it out.
Wax in the sprills.
Hot wax.
Hey, would it be like dangerous if, as a pick and payoff during one of these shows, I put it in at the start of the show and it has to stay there for the entire show, and then at the end I rip it out, or is that?
I wouldn't advise it. I think that you need to sort of do it beforehand because it turns rock hard.
Yeah.
Oh, so it's gonna rip. It would rip like skin from the inside of my nostril.
Yeah.
That's what. Okay.
I mean, I don't know for sure, but I would suspect.
Well, I
my
know.
nose just
The
comes
whole
off.
nose.
I know from when that lady did the waxing of my chest on the show that it was sort of a piece by piece thing. You put it on and then rip it off pretty much straight away rather than letting it stick around. So
yeah. And you would the nightmare scenario, you got to use the applicator, because if you use like a Q-tip or something where the stick can rip off and then leave all that wax in there, then you're not getting it out. So yeah.
I don't like the sound of this at all. Yeah.
then we got to do it.
Exactly.
I really don't. It's sort of giving me the heebie-jeebies thinking about it. Anyway, we'll do something with it. Lee, what's your answer?
I don't know about this answer, but anyway, you guys know I've got a lot of photos I've kept, and one of them I didn't like. I sort of kept it hidden. But now talking about eclairs and ice cream, I still think this is the best eclair that I had. It was from I think it was in Syria, and here it is there.
This looks totally photoshopped.
What? Hold on.
What the hell was the question again? Why are we saying this?
It's something that you didn't like at the time, but you don't mind it now, and that was one that I've kept hidden for a while. But it's
You've never looked more Australian.
I know.
Totally.
I know. It's about 600 degrees out there at the time. But
why are you wearing two shirts?
No, it's not. It looks like two shirts, but it's the fake undershirt. You can see how sweaty I am on my shoulders.
What are you wearing? A dickie? Shut up.
Yeah, I'm with you, JD. Almost every part of that looks fake. Like the hat, Lee's face, the eclair, the background. Like this is a composite image made by a Russian bot somehow. Make something that looks like an Australian eating an eclair in Syria. You plug it into some kind of program, and this is what comes out. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. There's a few like that in the collection. So you just got to find a reason to shoehorn them into the show, like today.
So what are you saying? You didn't like the eclair?
Well, I like the eclair. It's just the photo I've kept hidden. I was like, I don't know if I want to put that one out there, but then I thought, why not put it out there? It's fun.
All right.
We should just have a whole segment where we go, all right, Lee, show us an old photo of it.
Yeah.
Show us what we talk about. Oh, man. All right, my answer to this is stairs, because when I used to live at Bass Lofts, I lived on the third story, no elevator. You had to walk up all of these stairs. And, at times you're like, oh, God, you're exhausted, groceries, anything like that. You get annoyed with it, honestly. And then I moved into the new house. We barely have any stairs, all one level. It's like, stairs to go down to my backyard. That's it. But I miss them because stairs like just a sneaky good workout every time. Like going up and down those all the time.
You've lost your dumper completely, man.
Yeah.
Got no booty anymore.
That's right, man. I lost my Lowry.
You gotta just go up and down your stairs in the back 100 times a day. Get that ass back.
5 of them. I missed those 3 stories. But only looking back, I guess it wasn't that bad.
Yeah.
I enjoy it. And I like to take stairs quickly too. I like to run upstairs 2 at a time, sometimes 3 if I'm feeling frisky. So that's my answer.
Yeah, you're better off without the stairs. Pain has no memory, man. Pain has no memory.
That's true.
All right, last one. Lucky the Leprechaun had a pretty bad week. First, he got stomped on by Kyrie Irving. Then, to add insult to injury, he didn't even make Trey's top 5 Leprechauns, which I think we're still waiting for, but still, he's not on the list. Tell us about a time your luck finally ran out. Tass.
Well, I was lucky to never get chickenpox as a kid. Never had it. And then in my 20s, my niece had it. And so I asked a doctor, should I get the chickenpox? Should I actually, go rub cheeks with her and get her chickenpox? He said, no, you idiot. Just try not to get them. But I saw her mother, my sister-in-law, get them at about the age of 40. She got it while my niece got it, and it was not a good experience. So I was saying to the doc, you're the doctor here, but I might want to get it now, because in my 30s, I went to Europe, actually. I came back. It was like 12 days later. I'd done 10 days of insanity with my boy Shanti. Was feeling great. Then all of a sudden, I come down with the chickenpox. Now, why did I mention that Europe trip? I'm pretty sure I contracted it somewhere on the plane somewhere. It takes 14 days, up to 14 days as an incubation period. So I got the chickenpox. Was not fun. Wow. But it wasn't too bad. I'm sure a lot of people got it worse, but it was not super duper fun. In 2014, the year was.
Yeah, I was gonna say we were doing a show, right? Yeah,
it was kind of the off season. We were doing. I was I was zooming in for meetings at the time, so my face was my ugly face was on your computers, but we didn't. It was
Okay,
like
I
it
remember
was.
seeing you
good.
with it. Yeah.
You did not look comfortable. That's for
Yeah.
sure.
It was like September, October, luckily, so it wasn't peak television time for us. But yeah, those were the NBA TV days. Yeah, when we weren't doing too many previews. So yeah, I was lucky, but didn't work out too well, I guess. But yeah, but now you can go without getting chickenpox at all, I'm told.
Oh, really? I was going to ask you, have your kids had the test?
No.
Okay.
Yeah,
I didn't
there's
know
a
that.
vaccine for it now, I think.
Wow. For chickenpox. Crazy. All right.
Yeah. Lily.
So you guys know that Singapore Airport is my favorite airport because it's so clean, and that the reason I like it is because I never in my 39 years had taken a dump on an airplane. But I went to Europe too one year, and the night before I flew back to Atlanta, I went out for a huge dinner of chicken curry and probably 5 to 10 pints of Guinness. And
That'll do it.
the next day, before we'd even taken off,
That sounds like a pick and pay off too.
that Virgin Atlantic aircraft, I was looking at a 9-hour flight across the Atlantic. I was like, there is just no way in the world.
Virgin, no more.
So the 39-year streak was ended by chicken curry and Guinness. But,
Please stop painting this picture like you painted the bathroom.
The good thing was, though, I got in there before the flight took off, not at the end of the flight. So it was probably as clean and hygienic as possible. But
good
for you.
So,
I was
Another
fine.
9 hours of
the rest
fly
of the
with
flight.
a stank.
All right, Skatesy, bring us home.
Oh man, I don't want to follow these two guys. So very simply, at some point in my life, I had in an apartment, definitely a classic. I was in Toronto, like free cable television was like still hooked up. It still worked. And it was like, oh, this is great. No one wants to pay for a television. Nobody. It's awesome when you get it free. And eventually that luck ran out. Just one day it just stops working. And you're like, what? Why? Like, how did they figure it out? How did they know to cut that wire or that service? But we had it for a while there. I think it was when we were living on Major Street, if I remember correctly. So that's my answer. Not as exciting as Lee's taking a dump in an airplane. Never is, though. Yeah.
And back then it was literally just a person opens the box and unhooks
100%.
Literally just I guess we forgot to unplug that cable.
Yeah, now it's a click of the computer for sure. You're right.
Yeah.
A little different then, but that's my answer. And that's rapid fire. Was it fast? Not really, but it was fun, wasn't it? Guys, thank you so much for joining us here for a very long edition of the Drop Podcast. But we had a lot to talk about those games last night and setting up the second round series. We got one game on tonight. Just quickly, around the horn, Trey, Tass, then Lee. Do the Mavericks close this out on Friday night, or are we going to game 7, baby, on the weekend? What do you think, Trey?
I think the Mavericks should win this game, but I'm picking the Clippers to win it because I would love to see a hobo sweep, Skeetsy.
Okay.
I want to see the road team win every single game, so I will officially pick the Clippers.
Tass, what do you think?
I think it's over, ladies and gentlemen. Just having watched the way the Blazers rolled from Game 5 to Game 6, same with the Lakers, Game 5 to Game 6, I think the same's going to happen. I think the life is out of the Clippers a little bit.
Lee?
Mavs, please, just end it.
I mean, at this point, with the teams we have in the second round already in the West, I really want the Mavericks to win. I want Luka in there. I tweeted this last night. Mitchell 24, Luka 22, Booker 24, Jokic 26. My God. Like, that's just the West, because then you could get into Trae Young, what he's doing. Even Giannis is still fairly young, Ben Simmons and all that. But, I think I think like most people, I'll be cheering for Luka Doncic and the Mavs to win Game 6. But at the very least, we'll have a Game 7 on the weekend if the Clippers continue the hobo sweep possibilities here. So we'll see. That game's on tonight. Sort of getting into like a one game a night thing here. We got one game on tonight, got one game on Saturday, possibly one on Sunday, depending on what happens in that Mavericks Clippers series tonight. And then Monday night, we know the Suns and Nuggets are playing. Anyway, we'll be back on Monday to break it all down. Thanks so much for joining us. Shout out to the stream team. Please leave your 5-star ratings and review on Apple Podcasts. Subscribe to No Dunks on YouTube, and send in your question, nodunks@theathletic.com. All right, guys. We'll see you this weekend, actually. Hey, Lee, you bought some weird slip and slide that we're all going to go jump on.
Oh, yeah. Tomorrow at, I'm going to call it my buddy Grish's house because, that's where we're going.
Can't wait. Hey, order an ice cream truck, Lee. That'd be fun.
No way. I can't trust them. I don't want that dirty old thing turning up.
All right. Clipper Bros.
You heard it here first. Have a great time. Turn up. Love you guys. Awesome.
Thanks for joining us. And remember, in the words of Hootski here on the stream team, whoa, we're still live a couple minutes ago. They tweeted, yes, we do every show live all the way from the front to the back of this nearly 2-hour episode. Thanks for sticking with us. And thanks for coming back, Hootski.
Embrace the weekend, people.